and exhausted, man. He's just trying to lay out the dudes, and he's just exhausted at this point in time. Is Kraggadon getting hunted inside the jungle again, and the target seems like it's been set by Not Zeus.
And you can appreciate that from the side of Not Zeus, where it's like, okay, what has this team's goal really been over the last couple of weeks when it comes to like how they've actually operated? A lot of it is in Kraggadon, and they know attacking these lanes is necessary for some of these lanes to actually operate. And Not Zeus says, none of that. We're not having an ounce of it. You're not allowed to have impact on lanes. You're not even allowed to jungle properly. As he's just again and again from Not Zeus using this pushing power and just making plays into Kraggadon.
Bro, he's lost Krugs, he's lost both Scuttles, and now he loses Grom. Kraggadon is absolutely getting jumped onto by Perry. This is somebody that we're going to have to keep our eyes on as this game continues to evolve, because Not Zeus came into this game with a game plan for sure. LeBlanc paying a little bit of consequences for it inside the mid lane, as ZMT2 showing his prowess on the rise, but this is absolutely not what we were expecting going into it from Kraggadon here, and this is beautiful from Not Zeus.
Again, Kraggadon usually is able to...
Oh, wait a second! Solo kill in the mid lane!
It's the sequel, man! It's the ZMT2, baby! Let's go!
Sometimes the sequel's not supposed to be better than the first one.
ZMT1 would never have made that play, man. It's gotta be ZMT2 that makes that play. This is the improvement that we're seeing from the side of Striking Vipers. Able to test against Zarmanga, he's low range, has to use the body to make sure that that's there. When the jungle pressure comes to bot side, it means ZMT gets to control quite a bit more. You're able to attack the wave and the LeBlanc at one time. And all of that's led to Zarmanga ending up getting solo killed here, not having all the pushing power necessary to compete up against Arise.
This is honestly really good to see, because it's like I was talking about something that we weren't expecting to see. That was something else I was not expecting to see here. But going in now, Blossoms did a great rotation down there into the mid lane, coming back into the bot side. I am going to be curious. Double buffs have worn off onto the Karma. See if they'll be able to set something up again, as we do see Mundo pathing down this way with Dragon being up.
Well, I want to talk about like the change that has happened since back in the day, because back it used to be just like on hit Varus was the standard Varus, or like crit Varus was the standard Varus way back in the day when this was a matchup that worked. But in recent days, we've actually seen, okay, I'll hold this for at least a second. All right, I don't think more action is going to come about. So I want to talk about like Varus has stepped into both lethality, which is earlier game, and also Hail of Blades versus Press the Attack being a very front-loaded damage for Minwi to be able to work with. They're doing the same thing. A hook onto Minwi doesn't quite lead to much. It does burn the Ignite here from the side of the Thresh, but you have to full commit to a fight if you're on the bot lane of the Lucian Thresh, because if you're just quick trading, it used to be that Lucian could win that out, but with Press the Attack and with the ability to press your W, your Q, or your E on top of the Lucian, he loses so much more health in the quick trade, because Press the Attack is meant to enhance after that Press the Attack comes through. That's the burst of damage you're looking for, whereas Hail of Blades, the work gets done immediately, and then you're immediately out of that fight. So that's why Last Dance EF has to not just like poke away at the Varus. That's always going to go in favor of the Hail of Blades user.
This is very interesting coming out here from the bot side. Perry thinking about the Dragon, but they are going to say no to that. Lantern will be able to pull Last Dance out of harm's way, as the Mundo will show himself. But this opens up the door for Kraggadon to get a little bit of some farm back in the belt.
It does. Able to at least counter jungle a bit. So this is your open up side Dragon. It is going to be probably two camps, and that's actually why Porsche is currently walking into the jungle. There's support coming out from Anime Girl, though. So there's that as well, where TC Porsche might be in some trouble. Going to have to blast cone over. Thankfully, did not quite catch the angle for Anime Girl.
Stole red buff.
Yeah. Oh, he stole red buff. Oh my goodness. TC Porsche, man. You're just bullying kids at this point. Goodness me.
That's what you have to do with set. You puff out your chest, you take their lunch money, you know, that's what you do. That's the mentality needed to be a great set player.
He's a say it with your chest champion. You gotta appreciate that. TC Porsche walks blind into his topside jungle, says that's my red buff, grabs the blast cone, not even worried about the gank. Afterwards, Zarmanga again, though.
Yeah, there's so much damage coming through. Dratzer's here to try and shield them, try to save the day. Realmwar will be there to cut the distance, trying to see if they can do a little bit more parry. Jungle caught out of position, and quite literal, a death sentence comes through, and CNT finds himself on a killing spree.
And so far, the best position on the map to attack from the side of Striking Vipers has been mid lane. The rise into the LeBlanc matchup has worked out beautifully from the side of ZMT, where Kraggadon's been able to find some ganks that have worked out into the LeBlanc, as well as that roam right there. The protection tried to come through from Perry, who was around that Dragon, trying to respond to the bot side camps that were taken on the top side away. Force back into the top side.
Oh, beautiful flash with the Haymaker, but it's just not enough damage to knock out this Anime Girl.
Why? Why do they have to have these names? Why can't we just get like Justin? Like, please. Like, that was so weird to hear through my headset. Legit.
I would like to cast anybody with like normal names, but no, we get Anime Carol and TC Porsche, man.
They're not the worst names we've
Transformers
ever
versus
heard
anime. All right.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Actually, action.
4-person rotation. Blossom took a large chunk of damage, and LeBlanc here to layer it on as the last hit comes through. Varus finds the kill as 4 members are dedicated to this play.
One of the first times we've seen quite a bit of effort putting into this bot side. They've got the double range with the Varus and the Karma. They've got the advantage from the earlier portion of the game. And you see them leaning down here as much as possible. They've got 2 of the lowest kill participations in the league from Minwi and Draxler in their respective positions. And that's why I was like concerned. I was like, oh, maybe they don't get a bunch of resources. Maybe they don't find a bunch of this during this game. I expected to be a lot more topside focused. But here, it's actually been that Striking Vipers have been able to find their plays in mid. And it's been the side of Notezus who's played into bottom lane as much as possible. Also, to make mention really quickly, Minui's not going for lethality. Attaboy. He's going for on hit. He's going for the shield bow, even with the Hail of Blades. Hail of Blades just useful for helping aggress against the Lucian in the earlier phases of the game.
Get that burst, get that pop. Looking to see what they'll be able to do is Porsche back over here to the top side to try and catch this wave here. As we are seeing some of these first item buys come in, but yet again, the mid lane is the focus.
Distortion.
It is going to be him just getting grabbed, damage coming through. Will it be enough? No, they cannot catch him out, and they won't be able to lock him away in the Rune Prison.
Thankfully able to stop that. Now, this probably ends up being the tower being taken. Yeah, I think it's low enough where it's only going to take an auto attack or 2 from these combination of champions. Carol's going to get it right here. So that is first tower broken here. The LeBlanc's wave control has been, I think, the problem. That's Zaramenga is a combination of just all the threat that ZMT has, and a combination of Parry Jungle just has not been able to do much to be able to put pressure into this mid lane as much as possible. I talked about you need to break him out. You need to put pressure, burn the flash of the Rise, help the wave every once in a while, do things like that to allow Zaramenga to get some of the better kind of like back timings, get better itemization, stuff like that, feel some of that relief. But it hasn't been there because pressure's been elsewhere on the map. And so the LeBlanc gets shoved in, gets traded against really heavily. The pressure is mounting against him. And now first mid tower gets broken here for the side of Striking Vipers, allows this Rise to get out and about on the map.
Yeah, and it becomes a very interesting thing to take note of as we are looking around at this bot side. The shove coming through ever so immense from the side of Not Zeus. One here with this Varus Karma combination, but looks like no action is going to come out at this current moment in time. And I do kind of want to piggyback off of that because you talked about earlier about how LeBlanc is a champion that has risen up in priority, and I'm kind of curious if how much experience they have into this Rise matchup. I feel like that's always a very interesting topic whenever you get to see these new champions come in, because you don't get to experience all the matchups, especially a Rise.
I would imagine in a couple hundred games that come about, likely from Zaramenga, or the multitude of games that you've got to be able to play into that. Wow, that's just top to bottom. What a combination of elements right there. That's why Parry's like having trouble walking in, which is it's fair. Now that Everfrost is done, you can't even deny the double CC because you've only got the 1 canister to worry about. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna run at this Rise, he's gonna root me, and then I've got nothing left unless a chain hits or something like that. Zaramenga probably has played the Rise matchup, but it's also a lot different inside of competitive versus solo queue, where it's like, is Zaramenga has been able to scrim on this quite a bit. Maybe that Rise matchup something he's well versed in, but it's potential that not a bunch of people play the Rise specifically into LeBlanc as a response. So I think it's actually good on ZMT to have this in the back pocket ready to take into what Zaramenga has brought out, especially since, like, again, if it's one of the most played champions, you have to suspect with its strength, he was going to be able to whip it out for some of these games.
And while that all happened, we do see the action coming over here to the top side. A little bit of a rotation, a little bit slow, but Dragon was secured from the side of Striking Vipers. Anime Girl, you need to be careful. You looking like you about to get dropped. And is going to quickly move away as they see Mr. Mundo over there inside the bush.
Reasonable. Not gonna do too much here. Thankfully, they don't get the full commitment onto that, only not knowing where anything was. I think they could have pushed for one more wave, only because they knew Dragon had been taken on bottom side. I think that was a little bit off kilter though, because they came in like the middle of one wave and had to wait for an extra one, and so that back timing got things kind of messed up. And I think that's why Not Zeus was like a little curious, even though backs had only just come out, redeploy was coming through from the team. If they had committed to one more wave, I think they would have been free to do so. Bottom wave probably would have been pushed in. You would have lost one down there. Maybe you played as well. But if that nets you the tower, you ultimately win that situation one way or another. But instead, they decided for the defensive play, not wanting to give any more hold up.
And interestingly enough, as we're hitting that 15-minute mark coming up here, we do see a lot of these first items being grabbed here. Divine Sunderer, Mortal Shield Bow over onto the side of Not Zeus. So very interesting to see. How is this Sunderer going to come into play? See this aggressive Mundo look to try and put out the deeps for the team.
Actually, that's really interesting. It means that Perry wants to do quite a bit more carrying. And if you just go brick wall in this game, I don't think there's a problem with that in the slightest. Like, I don't think there's any problem with it, because Diana's not going to burst you out fast enough. Viego will eventually like get through your health bar, which is the one fear. Ryze also has enough consistent damage that eventually that's not too much of a problem. But like Lucian has gone for Essence Reaver, hasn't done much else. Well, that's a little bit of a battle. I think Anime Girl's actually winning that one right there.
Yeah, Krakadon is over here onto the side, though, but the rest of the team from Striking Vipers is here to back him up. Perry taking some deeps, and Last Dance finds the kill onto Perry. Beautiful catch out coming from the Vipers.
Yeah, extremely well played. I was a little curious why it was that Perry wasn't working his way into that 2v2 more than anything, because Porsche was not winning that 2v2 either. So I was really concerned that, like, okay, Set's going to end up dying, and you're going to be standing in the river kind of denying people, but you could get caught out as well. And while, yes, Porsche was able to get out with a flash, you weren't able to save Perry jungle, which could have been the cost, and that means another tower response potentially coming out here. I think they do just full commit, end up snagging this one away, which is a second tower that goes unresponded to, because, again, Ryzo is always going to have push. You had response on the other side where you tried to bring an extra member in. They didn't work out whatsoever. And then even like Minwi, he has a good amount of wave clear, but without lethality, Varus, it's a lot harder to just like perma push into this. Wow, that was a long time he was sitting in that rush.
He just chilled there, man. He's looking to try and jump on LeBlanc. Distorts away. He knows that you're not going to be able to catch this this tricky champion here. But I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about too, because this is something that you and me were talking about with Striking Vipers. You know, this is about the time where they start to feel comfortable, and you're really looking on not just to be that team to kind of control the flow of the game. And with the tower advantage going over the Striking Vipers here and the gold lead, this is actually, I feel like, a very scary moment for the side of Natsu's game.
I agree with that sentiment. This is a situation where they're down a fair amount of gold to begin with, when their composition is the one that, like, ideally would like to be striking pretty quickly, since, like, you could consider scaling and Mundo eventually becomes a brick wall. And while they did go for on-hit Varus, which is a lot different, I still don't think you're matching what, like, the Ryze Viego is going to end up, especially if Lucian's able to stay involved inside of the game. In fact, Lucian's only down 200 gold right now, and it's, like, the 2k advantage currently sitting in the pocket of ZMT that is really the massive kind of difference maker here in this one. Draxer is a little bit more fed, which cancels out one of the other advantages. That's your support. So right now, Striking Viper's combat efficiency is extremely high for how much gold they've got across the board to be able to deal with. And especially since Perry jungle went into the Divine Sunderer rather than going for full tank, I do worry about what the mid game is going to hold here from the side of Nautus if they're not able to find the picks and stuff with LeBlanc that they've like Chains of Corruption to set themselves up. Because that's one of the best ways that you could try to like compete without much response. But it seems like Striking Vipers are just all over the map, controlling as much as they like, making all the aggression moves that they want without much relaxed.
Yeah, oh, that Death Sentence almost
Very
beautifully protected. Throwing the lantern at him, hoping it will clunk him on side the head, but isn't going to be this, that. But Herald summoned into the bot side. Look at all the vision, actually, from the side of Natsus. They had no way of telling this coming. They got it all focused in the top side.
That they do. They flooded completely once they had that mid-wave push, and nobody's there to respond. They're going to try to maybe move up here and look for a punishment onto Anime Girl, but, like, you're not even able to run down the Viego. Like, there wasn't a fast enough move from Minwi. It's just getting out macroed right there, where Striking Vipers move into the bottom side, find that tower with the Rift Herald, push up bot side so far now, very easily. That's free space for ZMT to be able to move. That, like, Zaramenga is not going to be able to move that quickly. It's harder to clear the wave, it's harder to fight the Ryze, and he's the one with the semi-global ultimate to be able to move a lot quicker towards some of the objectives. That means that ZMT has got an insane side lane that's pretty much unrespondable to now from the side of Natsus. I'm a little worried for their prospects here inside of this one, just off the back of this Ryze side lane alone, let alone the rest of the team play, unless they can really get going like right now, pretty much.
It's going to be a very interesting thing to see how Natsus try to combat themselves back into it, because someone else I was just noticing is the fact that they don't really have an easy way to start off a fight or whatnot. It's very reliant on this set being able to get someone or to catch somebody in a very awkward position. So I'm really curious to see what Natsu's game plan is going to be, because they have to hatch a plan quick and be able to be successful at it if they want to start combating Striking Vipers at some of these points.
If it's not going to be a pick with like LeBlanc or Chains of Corruption or something like that, the only other style that they could try to go for is like a very strange kind of portion of what would be like I'm trying to think of the word for it, where it's like just everybody runs at you. A death ball comp. Where like
okay, yeah, the meatball.
Yeah, the meatball, like the death ball comp, where what you do is you press Mantra E on the Karma, and then you pop Shurelya's, and then you've got Set running at you at full speed, you got Mundo running at you at full speed, you have Varus running at you at full speed, and then LeBlanc to try to throw some like angles into the mix where it's like, okay, if somebody's running at you, you're going to force them into a direction, and if Zarmanga sets up properly, that's going to be perfectly fine. But then you're fighting a front to back into a team with like a Ryze who's got CC. You're fighting into a Lucian who can kite backwards, a Viego who can kite backwards. Like there's so many problems with trying to deathball here, especially when you're down this much gold. I don't know. It's a strategy that you want to go to. So for the moment, pick composition is what you're working for. You got to get gold into Zarmanga so that he can actually start generating some of those potential plays to actually come out here. But even at this point in the game, finding those is not going to be super easy into pretty much anybody. Ideally, you'd like to find ZMT because he's got a massive shutdown. But right now, like that's the best your option that you had here.
Natsus wants to run wild, but honestly, it feels like Striking Vipers are really controlling things. Wow. And look at this. Anime Girl picking the fight, picking the moment. Porsche is taking a little bit of damage here, but I mean, the setup coming out from Striking Vipers, they are the team that is just controlling how the side of Natsus is moving around the map, and that is no way for them to be able to run wild. Look at this. Yet again, Anime Girl just goes in for yet another trade onto Porsche. This is a lot of damage coming in, being traded back and forth. They're looking for it, going to take him for a ride, lay a little bit of more damage onto Anime Girl. Anime Girl trying to look for the play, is not going to be able to find it as the flashes come around. Porsche in hot pursuit. And it's going to be Anime Girl being able to scamper out alive. Nobody there to cut off the retreat.
Combination of the Bramble Vest denying a good amount of damage and the healing coming out from Anime Girl with the Goredrinker means it's so hard to try to deal with Porsche. Even with the abilities used very quickly inside of that fight, it didn't matter because even the consistent fight from the set with like Knuckle Down and the passive afterwards was way too much to have to deal with. So not quite at that level that Anime Girl needs to be in order to take the side lane. That is coming soon enough when Blade of the Ruined King is completed, when maybe third item, if it's Sterix or something like that, is completed. All of a sudden the side lane potential from Porsche is just going to go out the window against the Viego, but for the moment at least, they still have that to hang their hat on. So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, seeing these two tango around inside the bot lane, it's been a very interesting thing to see. They're kind of testing the water with each other. You can see some respect due with the flashes that were burned, but now looking over towards the top side, yet again, the dance has never stopped around this Baron pit, man. And these guys, they are looking to continue this dance. Striking Vipers positioning themselves around this Baron pit, just begging for the side of Natsus to walk in.
If I were Striking Vipers, like, I would be playing around this Baron ridiculously. Because if you look at their comp, they've got two consistent damage, like, ADC-type dealers, where you've got Viego on one with percentage health damage, a Lucian with double shot, and Kraken Slayer on the other hand. You have a Ryze to add into that, which is, again, for mages, is like, that Cassiopeia is 0-3 of the best that you could possibly have for taking Baron and things of that sort. And then even Diana's got better than average attack speed to be able to work into that, and you can jump off that pretty quickly with something like the Moonfall, the setup there. Blossoms can try to fight, like, generate a pick, something like that. A Root from Ryze can set something up around the pit when they're walking in. So there's a number of ways to play around the Baron pit. I think Striking Vipers, honestly, could do a very hefty amount of damage, maybe enough for a killing blow to be able to set themselves up for like the mid and late game just victories to come through if they're able to generate one of these very powerful Baron plays that they clearly have got in their back pocket with the comp they've set up.
Waiting for just that opportune moment, the one time that Natsus slip up, and you gotta give credit where credit's due. Perry has been doing a great job being mindful of this, but Def Summit's connecting onto set, not exactly the target they wanted here. TP coming through, LeBlanc looking to join the fray. TP is available for the Viego as well, so can join in at any given notice, but is holding it just to put some more pressure. Here we go, LeBlanc looking for a catch, not going to be able to find it. TP coming in, as well. Now this might be the time for them to look to pull the trigger. Shirelli is coming on through the Moonfall, coming in, gonna take him into the backside, but he goes golden, set in the backside with nobody else, but the rest of the team is gonna try and lay in some support. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 so far, as the damage is still coming through. The Varus is laying in so much damage as Illusion tried to assassinate, but it all falls apart for the Vipers.
I got to talk about this really quickly because right before this had started, I was like, Striking Vipers should not fight this at all. There's no reason for them to be fighting this. They have the advantage, right? And you're trying to take a fight into the river, into a lap position against the side of not Zeus for whatever reason, and you have no pressure onto the likes of the Varus. Right there, you're already into setup into a kind of rough position where you're not going to be able to accomplish what you want. But also consider the fact they were set up around mid lane. They could have easily pushed mid wave, which they already were doing in order to set up the dragon play. Walk up to go for Baron and threaten Baron while they've got Anime Girl pushing on top side. That's at minimum a tower. And then, like, if you trade for Cloud Drake, that's at least one member from the side of Not Zero or Not Zeus that's going to be pulled away. You win that fight, or you take Baron very easily. Worst case scenario, you trade a Dragon for another top lane tower, get to shove in mid and bot or mid and top wave a lot better. There were other plays to be made other than just, hey, let's fight right now. Yes, they get third Dragon, but you've now given the side of Not Zeus a way back into this game.
The Trap of the Dragon, a neutral objective. Sometimes it looks a little bit too shiny, man. And now Striking Vipers have found themselves striking at a kennel that was way too hot for them to strike at. Now Not Zeus looking to take advantage of that. And have to see if that Dragon's going to come out to be worth it. They did put themselves at soul point, so Striking Vipers definitely put themselves in a good spot in that regard. But now we're at an even game.
They're just like, they were so close to having this game pretty much under wraps, being up 4,000 gold at this point in the game against a composition that's having like a tough time. And you give them a way back in is a little bit frustrating. And now, Not Zeus is going to take the most of it, because now, of course, Minwi, you're seeing him sitting on very high itemization to be able to work with. There's not much to be said about anything else.
The catch going in, Blossoms out of position, TP comes in. But it's going to be there to just seal his doom. Krackodon goes down. TP coming in from the rise to join into this fight. Force is going to be able to lay a hell of a haymaker, but this Varus is completely untouched and is just running wild at this point.
Second fight in a row where Minwi is just able to stand in the back and do anything that he wants. This is what's really cool when you have Varus players that like know the difference between what lethality and Hunt is going to bring. Where lethality's like, if you want to stand back, if you're worried about getting hit, you throw lethality Varus in and you got a bunch of free damage, especially into squishy compositions. But if they have nobody to challenge you, like, just on-hit Varus is always going to be the preference here. Even if Krackodon gets a solid engagement, if Minwi has any way of getting out of that Moonfall, getting away from the rest of the team, whether it's Flash or something else, he just does whatever he wants inside of fights. And now you've given him over 5 kills, shifted this bot lane into a massively winning position to be able to challenge against the likes of ZMT, of Anime Girl when they walk into frontline. And you've got this good team in front of him where Set and Mundo make for a very solid kind of brick wall for him to just, like, arrow behind. Draxler gets to throw shields on top of that, buff up the ADC as well, where now Minwi just gets to kind of take control of the game, all handed over off the back of that mid-fight that Striking Vipers took earlier.
Man, a Baron play that has happened that has caused a 6k shift in gold in favor of Not Zeus. And this is just, like you said, preferred for them. They capitalize on the mistake. And now, Last Dance in a tricky spot really needs to be careful for those moments here. Same can be said about Blossoms, as he was the person that was caught out at the beginning of that last fight.
Now it's about trying to find your way into a team fight here from the side of Striking Vipers, where before they didn't have this problem, where you didn't have to generate a fight in your advantage. But now that they've got Ryze, they've got Lucian and things into positions where, like, you're contesting against the Varus, who's on 3 items. Now it's a 2-item LeBlanc as well, who's walked their way into the game. And you don't have quite yet the tankiest of front lines, with Fairy Jungle having dipped into that Divine Sunderer, only just now getting into second tank item with, like, the Spirit Visage, as well as the other item that's going to be completed. It looks like it's going to be probably Deadman's Plate. But again, that front line isn't just completely impenetrable so far. ZMT had enough gold at the beginning of the game to carry. You just have to set that up for your team to be able to work your way through. I think target selection is going to be huge for Striking Vipers, forcing down someone on the front line to get them out of the way so that you can actually put pressure onto Minwi, especially Krackodon, who has so far been just kind of initiator and hasn't had the most follow-up thus far. I think, honestly, you might transition from being initiator to dive onto Minwi, push him out the back of the fight, and drive away the damage so that you don't get front-to-back team fighting for 2-3 seconds for the side of Not Zeus, so that you can win that on the side of Striking Vipers. 2-3 seconds of auto attacks from Varus is not going to get matched any time over the next 5 or 6 seconds that the fight is going if you've got this Ryze who's be able to throw in spells, same as the likes of Last Dance DF.
Man, all I gotta say is I hope they start off any of this target selection with some heavy artillery, as they're gonna have to break down a bunker at this point in time, because that's exactly what this Varus is gonna be looking to do. And you can even see Drancer playing very confidently on this Karma. And this is a point that you brought up. This is a key champion for him inside of this matchup, and really showing everybody exactly how you play this Karma in the support role here in the UPL.
I've like known the name of Draxer for a very long time. I know he works inside of Collegiate, and I'm always a fan of whenever he's around, just because he does so much for teams and things of that sort. So it always makes me my heart.
Anime girl.
See him. It's funny enough, right there. I don't know what is Zarmanga doing. He could just be auto attacking or anything, putting pressure as Anime Girl. If you turn and try to fight there and like flash for a W or something, like Zarmanga just has to not get hit by that, and it's just an immediate kill. That's all pressure on an Anime Girl, and yet Zarmanga just decides to pull off, worried that it was going to be a flip there. But that does drive back, thankfully, this Viego from the rest of the fight, as Dragon's going to take and deny the soul point from striking Vipers. That is one thing they've got in their back pocket, is 3-stack Dragon, so you're going to have to wait another 10 minutes from this point before Soul Fight has to come through. That gets them time, potentially, to work their way back in terms of gold in this game.
And they do have a lot of scaling in their back pocket, too. Sure. We talked about it already. The Ryze is able to go nuts. You got the Viego. We do have a Kraken Slayer Lucian here, so looking to try and see if he'll be able to peel back the extra layers of HP that are stacked upon stack onto this set, onto this Mundo. And I feel like that's going to be so hard to do, but they gotta figure out a way to be able to try and do just that, as Baron is going to be coming up here in 10 seconds, Rebel.
Really quickly, I just want to point this out, and I think it's worthwhile saying. I'm terrible with names. I'm going to admit that. I always get yelled at, even when I'm confident that something is right. It's not. This time, I've been misreading this, because I thought it was Zarmanga. There's no N in his name, and also there's an I at the beginning. So it's like Zarmanga is how that should be said. If I'm saying that incorrectly, somebody's willing to yell at me. They can dock my pay for the day, whatever it might be. But please feel free to correct me. I would rather say your name correctly than sit here and continue to say the thing that I think sounds cooler, only because I thought it was right for the majority of the game. So I want to apologize to Zarmanga before anything else comes through, because I am only just now realizing there's an I in his name. So
I like how it started as an apology and it turned south so quickly there.
What do you mean?
You have a little.
It was an apology. I feel bad.
So if it's wrong.
I am wrong. I'm usually wrong. It's just factual. So if I'm wrong, please, I apologize immensely. I didn't mean any disrespect.
He has a lamer version.
I'm not saying it's a lamer version. It's just what I thought sounded right, and so that's what I've been going with.
All right. Nice recovery there. We'll give you that. But the dance, I feel like this is very interesting to see now. As 10 minutes ago, we saw Striking Vipers being the team dancing around the Baron, and now the shoe's on the other foot. Not Zeus looking to perform and looking to tango around the Baron, and they're starting it up just like that.
As they should. Coming out here as much as possible. It's the other team that's got the real threat to potentially take the Baron, but this side of Not Zeus is really very capable of turning off and putting some pressure into a fight. And that's what they're looking for, is they're just death rushing. I was really hoping somebody would step out, but unfortunately they weren't able to track, because I think Blossom stepped up just a little too far. And they had watched him through the ward, because it wasn't swept until the next person had walked up. So that potential was there. But now that they've seen that they're faking and they think, okay, maybe there's a back timer, unfortunately, without knowing any information, they've pulled off too far. Maybe Minwi can help them spike this down as fast as possible. Parry with that Sundere makes it really fast for a Baron. They're going to turn.
Go. They're looking for the turn. Krakodon is going to be able to be rescued, but CMG is left all by himself. You got to protect Mr. President as he goes down. Dominating is this Varus. Anime Girl has to flash away. They're looking to make a play over here into the backside. Last Fate's going to be able to find the pick onto the Karma. That said, it's going to go a little bit wide. Not going to be able to connect onto the LeBlanc, as Krakodon is looking to be the supporting force for their team. Last Ditch trying to heal up at this point, as it is going to be the side of Not Zeus looking to continue on forward. They burst, they distort, and take out the HP bars. Last Dance gets taken away. Now Blossoms is looking to just try and be a humble distraction for his team, as he's just looking to burn time from this LeBlanc. It is going to be the LeBlanc just chasing them down. Blossom has the moves, is going to be able to get away here, and is possibly looking for just a simple execute. Actually, it's going to be able to recall.
Yeah. Okay, but he's not going to be there for a very long time to support the Baron play that's coming out. And so there's 3 members currently on the side of Not Zeus who are at the Baron. Can you try to convince here? Anime Girl's here, Krakodon's here, trying to turn. maybe they can try to contest it, but it's so low on health right now.
They're looking for a play here. They're looking for the pick. Here
comes
the Baron is at a K, and it does not get stolen. Anime Girl left in midst of 4, and that is 2 kills in the Baron to not Zeus.
Big respect to Crackedon. I think one more second of waiting, and maybe you can like make that play where the flash E comes through to look for enough distance to try to smite it away. But it was over 1,300 health when he was there, gets set, ulted right back out, and at that point, the dream is dead, unfortunately, for the 50-50 Baron smite. And again, the play was there from Crackedon. I want to give him a ton of credit because that was a very well-timed ultimate. It just was just a little bit off, a very small amount. Not a lot of junglers were able to find that timer, so big props to him almost getting it, but it was really close. Now, second Baron buff, ability to take this dragon as that was stalled so long, and the siege is going to continue, and even further beyond everything else that had come through. Minwi is on like 5 items right now, is just obscenely fed. Nobody has still touched him in this game. He is 12, one of the highest kill participation. This bot lane has been far more active than they have the remainder of the season. Getting them involved is one of the best things we've seen from the side of Natsus all year, and they're just going to be able to push things down. I don't know if now Striking Vipers has the ability to stop them before this snowball actually does enough damage to maybe set the game very heavily in their favor.
And this Varus almost having 100% KP and is looking to tear apart this tower there. Uncontested on that, as the Baron buff is all the aid they need. Crackedon has to go golden to be able to stay alive just a little bit longer, and has to make a steady retreat now as the Bears moving a little bit too far forward. Devson does connect. This is the first time they've been able to lock him down, but the GA is there to make sure he's going to be able to resurrect just in time. Anime Girl's going to get jumped onto. It's going to be a lot of damage being laid out onto the team as all 5 members of Natsus are still alive. Inhibitor goes down. Crackedon looking for the play. Is going to be able to find the Bears, and Bears gets popped. That's the answer that they've been looking for inside of this game, but it cost them so much.
Varus finally gets brought down inside of a fight. The dragon afterwards is a little bit more kind of questionable. Okay, Chain was a little bit just off right there. So pressures there from ZR Maga on the likes of this LeBlanc, being able to find that one. Mid inhibitor going down as well. Trade for Minwi. My complaint here is only that the dragon is available, and they desperately needed him to team fight, but it looks like they've done enough damage, pushed in mid and bot far enough to be able to set themselves onto third Drake. So they're going to have to wait a full other Drake to get a full collude team fight between the side of Striking Vipers and Natsus. As this game continues to go in their favor, I will say Minwi, I don't know if that was a bait. I don't know what your intention was behind that setup for the Guardian Angel take, but man, it bought a lot of space. I'm going to give him that. It set the team up to be able to get a kill and get that mid in him.
I also like the other perspective of we started hyping him up as a player, and then all of a sudden he dies, you know?
I don't know if it's a caster curse at this point. I think it's punishment for me mispronouncing his mid laner's name.
It's a mixture of things. We'll throw it in the blender and we'll make it into a smoothie, see exactly what comes up, as it looks like Natsus is trying to figure out a way to smoothly...
Hold on.
Oh,
okay, I swear there was a BF sword in Minwi's inventory just a second ago. Was there not an extra? There was definitely a BF sword there. He didn't turn it into anything else, right? Where did this BF sword? Did he sell his BF sword for some reason?
Listen, he didn't want it.
He might be buying something else. Hold on, let's see what he buys here. I'm a little confused.
And he needed there.
Hey, he went right. Okay, so he did have a BF sword. I'm not getting gaslighted by this game. Okay, thankfully. He's actually trolling me right now. I'm hyping him up, going, "Oh wow, Minwi's been amazing. He's doing fantastic."
He dies. He gaslights.
And then he's got a BF sword that he sells, trying to make me talk about something else with his build. Now he's got the Rage Blade. Thankfully, he trades to that one because he knows his on hit's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely the most optimal choice, and hopefully that is going to be a little word of caution from his teammates saying, "Hey, listen, you got all this beef. Stand behind us, right? Got you."
I also know that Draxler has worked as a coach before, and so I'm guessing after what just happened, he is pissed at Minwi. So he's like,
got the belt out.
Don't do it again.
It looks like it's going to be not Zeus getting the belt out for themselves, as they're going to be looking to lay out the damage. Blossom's going to be the first person to get taken out.
Oh!
Chain coming on, their beautiful ult coming out for Crackedon into the backside, but it's not going to be enough damage to lay it on out. Last Dance is going to be able to find a kill onto Mundo as the rest of the team was spread away. The HP bars are low. Striking Vipers are limping away. But it is just ultimately going to be a 1-for-1.
Astonishing, the fact that Crackedon got that like 4-person ultimate, and you're not strong enough to really make it work. There wasn't much follow-up. They pulled out of that fight with a 1-for-1. You pull out of that fight with a for one. That's insane. They also traded like support for like the front line for Mundo, so like it's not even like not Zeus could really like take a re-engage here because they don't have their front line around. They do shift up to punish top lane as fast as possible. I don't even think that's gonna work. Somehow Striking Vipers, by the skin of their teeth, are able to clutch that fight at the last second.
Dude, these ultimates are coming back out too because of the amount of cloud tricks that we've had inside this game. Everybody almost has their ultimates back up at this point in time.
Insane.
There is so much mayhem on the Rift here.
That there is. We're coming to a point where, like, eventually there's going to be one big team fight that kind of decides everything, and I want to take stock before that happens, because we're still an item down for the likes of the Lucian. We don't have full build for Ryze, but that's on the way, because he's half an item to that point, so you have to think, like, okay, is he buying pots and that kind of thing, wasting a bit of 500 gold. But getting ZMT onto that last item will be big for the setup of the rest of the fight. It's also a matter of, okay, can we actually get through set? Porsche did a bunch of frontlining in that previous fight that I didn't expect him to be capable of doing, even to this point in the game, 38 minutes into a Ryze and a Varus and a, or my apologies, a Ryze and a Lucian and a set. Oh, wait, actually, Mundo!
Oh, Parry's gone! They were able to decimate Varus away from the rest of the team. That's 2 kills! That goes over to Striking Vipers. They're looking. They get the catch out. Varus is all alone. He's
like self-sustaining through everything, though.
Trying to keep him
He's still alive!
He's been alive for so long. He's able to fight his way out of that situation.
Oh my goodness. Minwi just is like full sustain build because he's got a Mortal Shield Bow with Bloodthirster, with Wit's End. He's got all of that on his back. And honestly, if he goes down right there, the game is over and Striking Viper slips it back in their favor. So I don't know how he gets out of that one, but auto-attacked his way out of oblivion. This does set up Striking Vipers to take Baron potentially, but they still have Porsche and they still have Minwi alive. Can they get here fast enough before the Baron gets taken down? I don't think they can.
No, it's gone. It's gone. It is off the table and... Oh my gosh, I would never thought
What is this game? This is insane.
This game is insane. We are 40 minutes into the game and there is no decisive person. Neither one of these teams are showing an inch of giving up.
They're backing right now. They don't have the ability to set up this jungle, and there's no reason for them to be here. So they're going to spend what gold they have in their back pocket, make sure they can come back out and get something done, because Dragon is almost certainly going to be the final fight of the game. And right here, notice that Striking Vipers, they have to play a little cautious because they don't know where those two went. So if they're standing in that brush and they just death brush here and they catch Blossoms, there's no setup to come through. Striking Vipers have to walk in blind. So they're very careful, buys time for everybody to get those resets off, and now all of a sudden, Natsu's able to get to the river faster because that little lack of vision, good respect from Striking Vipers, does cost them, unfortunately, because of the reset that had come through. Only we get to know that. Only we have that special information. You're welcome, viewers.
We have our special eyes here as LeBlanc is looking for a possible catch over the wall, looking for something. Cloud Dragon has been started up by the side of not Zeus. This could be the fight that decides it all. Destinus connects, but it's going to be onto the set. Lots of damage being laid out. LeBlanc looking for the angle over into the backside. Porsche looking for an angle of their own. It's going to be a beautiful moonfall coming on in, but Minu is just free hitting inside of this fight. Destinus is going to be able to connect. They're going to be able to lock him away, and that's going to be able to stop it for themselves. Striking Vipers are routing the side of not Zeus. They are going to be able to find an ace. 41 minutes into the game, the TPs come through, and this is Striking Viper's time to shine.
That's going to be it right there. That should be, I think there's like 50-second death timers or something. So if they don't have like a minute to finish this game, they should be more than fine. They've got Lucian, they've got Viego. It comes down to the final fight. The phase, make sure Porsche doesn't get a good engagement. And again, Krakodon is able to find a massive ultimate into the backline. I thought maybe Minwi would be able to somehow get that, but the Zhonya's that comes through, denying the right target selection, forcing him to not be able to bring down members and get anything for his team, made it so difficult, and that's going to cost them. Striking Vipers had initial control. Not Zeus brought it back with that Baron play, but Striking Vipers outscale, outlast, and win the game.
What a ride that we just went for in game number 1. We had an almost 42-minute game of a back and forth show, and it came down to the final Dragon. Rebel, we are in for a series, man.
Oh my goodness, that was incredible to watch between these two teams to compete like that. Again, there's plenty of moments where like I could see like, okay, here's what they should be doing, here's something like that. But like they were willing to fight for it. Both these teams are willing to fight to end the game, and that means we're going to get to these late game team fights pretty much one way or another, unless one team snowballs. So in games like this, where that lead doesn't really go beyond like 6,000 gold, you're giving up some in the way of things to be able to make sure your team can flop. We're going to get long games. We're going to get big fights. Really exciting This is why we watch League of Legends, for stuff like this right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got some quality League of Legends here for you tonight. As you can see, game 1 is just the appetizer. We are going to go ahead and take ourselves a break. When we come back, we're going to throw it over to the desk for them to be able to break down all the mayhem that came across in game number 1 and get us ready for game number 2. So make sure you do not touch that browser. Holy!
Oh my god. What?
What?
Why?
What just happened?
Who?
What?
I agree. Like,
Hi.
yeah,
My-
all right,
My
just
God,
as
I need to go to a doctor's office get some blood pressure medication after that one, dude.
bro, I'm dying
Oh.
inside and on the outside, bro. I don't think I remember how to breathe anymore. Like, is it out in and out? Like, what do you do, bro? It's, after that game, I'm questioning a lot of what I knew about League of Legends. But with that being said, welcome back to the desk here. Ravish Short here by Destructs and Rear Adam. Gentlemen, let's talk about that game. Adam, starting off with you, man. Did you watch it? Do you have thoughts on games that you can articulate, you think?
I think, yeah, we don't have the replay from the early game, but overall, just looking from the drafts, the R2 LeBlanc was so strange. I think we were sitting here and we're like, man, why did they pick that there? You get the B3 Rise right after, and early game, Rise getting that solo kill under the tower. They try and gank him around 9-minute mark. You have the Mundo in the river moving up. They get another kill on top of Zarmanga, and they move into Perry as well. And this Rise 3-0 that early on into the game is it shows the counter matchup, and it shows that if you're going to pick this LeBlanc, you have to know what you're playing into, because it just the LeBlanc didn't work for me, even when Not Zeus were able to bring the game back in the mid game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that one, because ZMT had so much mid pressure and it was so uncontested in the early game for him. And it's like, dude, you know what LeBlanc's kit does, right? Distortion forward. You know what Rise kit does, right? It snares you up. You can't distortion back. He just gets a solo kill like it's nothing. It was a very questionable early game, but I kind of want to rewind it a little bit earlier, just because of the Perry jungle not really giving a goddamn of what was going on in that game with that early invade. Like, he knew the bot lane Lucian was going to be weak early. He runs through everyone, man.
And that was literally half of their engages, where Perry decided, like, hey, they're all here. Let me just run in with all. Just like, and as he even started half the fight, it's like, as he's in, he's literally at about half health, and then like stopwatches are like this, just is ready. We're waiting for every single one of them, just tear them apart, bro. What an absolute Chad. Like you said, Destrux. But as things went on through what we saw, right? Continuing throughout this entire game, we thought, if we're looking at New Zealand versus El Salvador, it's the Olympics, right? It's a
just so people do know, El Salvador's internet thing, the Actress directory, whatever it's called, is .sv. So this does work out. This meme, it does have content.
Just go with us on this one, okay?
Yeah.
It makes sense here as we look as a look at New Zealand, inevitably invading the bases of El Salvador, attacking their land and trying to take over their property, but doesn't work out too well for them here, Adam.
You can see that Minwi, his GA was popped earlier on in this fight. I just want to keep an eye on him, because you can see ZMT walking right up. Where did the Varus go? That's the power of Rise. When you give him a couple of items, he gets pulled in by that Diana, did like 100 damage, and then poof, Rise just shows up and says, goodbye, Minwi. You're GA. I don't care. Your life, I don't care. I'm bringing my team back into it. And it's the power of Rise when you let him get to late game, which is effectively what we got at the 35-minute mark there.
That wasn't even like late game though. That was like 30 minutes. You forget this game went on for 45, bro. That could be counted as early game at this point with what we were seeing. Because as things continue out here, Destruct's like, and we're seeing the replays, every single one of these fights, as we continue forward, they're either spread up on a dime, and there's one that I really want our replay producer to put out. K-Tat, I believe this is the one where we just watch Midway here, I think.
I can't really say much here because I have the issue with the replays and my mic muting and all that. I'm letting Rare Adam take the replays right now.
All right, so huge engage from Krakadon here. He gets into the middle of the fight, and they take down Perry, but look at the health bars on the opposite sides. Krakadon has double-digit HP. ZMT has 100 HP or something, but they don't push forward that advantage. And we were talking while we were watching this game saying, if they push that advantage, Not Zeus can end the game off of that play. They aren't able to pick that up. And we can see in the next replay we're going to get where, there's a little bit more action there. We're just waiting for that to come up. That them not ending the game just gives away back into the game. Anime Girl takes that
Oh, this
Perry
is the
jungle
one.
right
This
off
is
the
the one.
top. But here's Minwi. We're not going to say anything. Watch this.
Virgo. Just
Just-
pop. And then the fact that he manages to live by the end of it. But it did kind of foretell
God,
what
dude.
was about to happen, bro. As we continue throughout the game, you're not necessarily with us, have been able to join back and see what happened to that game. Because you know what? Even if you didn't, you want production, I'll ask you one more time. Can we just roll the replay once again and just see Minwi somehow live by the skin of his absolute teeth? It was like a pinch on the back of my thigh that continued to not. It was like having a bad scab.
Ravish. I want you to know my notes here just says, how the F did he live? That is all it says for that point.
Yeah. It says here, Minwi is cracked ? Exclamation point.
Yeah.
And it's just art. Watching that, it reminds me of that one Rad IRL clip where he does like the perfect kiting with the Yumi on him. It's like that's what I saw right there. Minwi's like, you know what? I've watched enough Rad IRL streams, and I'm gonna do this on Varus this time. But I think the last replay we need to look at is that last fight around that Elder Dragon.
Man.
This is really, we were shocked at how well this fight went out, and I want us to look at Blossom specifically because right here you can see Ziarmaga. We're going to say his name right this time. He's going to try and look for the flank over the wall. Great hook onto TC push, and they're chunking him out already. But Ziarmaga misses the chain onto ZMT here. And this second hook right here, Minwi's just free firing at the back. He gets pulled. He gets shoved into the rest of the team. And from there, Last Dance is just able to dance all over the corpses of his enemies, cleansing away from everything. So well played. And while we're watching that, we're freaking out. This was an insane play coming out from Striking Vipers. And it just shows because they're in the win column here. They've got themselves the 1-0 lead now.
So it is Ziarmaga, as you can see, he won because of the little like swoopy thing at the top of the A.
No. This might be the team from New Zealand, but this is the Russian dictator holding the ground over for that squad, Zarmanga. Shout out to Rebel Fox. I'm not letting you live that one down, baby.
Absolutely love Zarmanga. That's one of my favorite mangas that I read here. So with that being said here, gentlemen, just Last Dance in the final fight, like you were mentioning here, Adam absolutely popped off, bro. He wasn't trying to tap dance, he was trying to tango with the entire team, and he danced circles around them. But with that, though, Striking Vipers not going 1-0 in the series, but the way things have continued on, this is still very much up in the air for any single other team to be able to take it. And Not Zeus are still very much in it. So we'll pass up to Rebel Fox and Travesty to show us the results of what's to come for game numero dos. Y'all get it.
Yo, and we're about to get it, right? Travesty, Rebel Fox, we are here, and Rebel, are you okay over there? You look like you.
DR MAGA. DR MAGA. DR MAGA. I'm just repeating it so I can remember to say it in this game so that I don't mess it up again because I really don't want to. With the number of times we're calling out his name in the first game, with the number of times we're calling everything in this game, I got to make sure names are on point. Just run it over it a couple times.
Just gotta say it a couple times to yourself, get ready, everything ready, because if that was anything to show us here, man, neither one of these teams have something over the other, man. They both are ready to slug against one another, and they are both able to weigh the scales in their favor. It's now the match advantage is over in favor of Striking Vipers, and now this puts a bit of pressure onto Not Zeus.
It's clear that the comfort from both teams is going for more of the team fighting phase. It's clear Striking Vipers are capable of taking this game long. I think this boils down to how much of an advantage and how well can they apply the advantage from the side of Not Zeus. If they're able to really effectively, I think there's plenty to talk about with this roster having more than enough firepower coming into the later stages against Striking Vipers. But if they don't get an advantage and they can't apply it properly, there's problems. In that last game, I won't call Minwi out just for like dying in the last couple of fights. But again, if you're reliant entirely on the Varus for late game, and that's the one thing that you're going to go for, you got to make sure that it's safe one way or another. So maybe draft for more safety if you're going to run back the same composition. But I expect a different type of early game planning to come through here, although I did love the fact that they went through bot lane. I think that was new for them, and I think it worked really well.
I'm actually very curious. We do see that Diana is coming in. Both our teams are going to be on the same sides here. I am curious if they're going to adapt a similar strategy, because in the early game, you and me were both kind of like, wow, hold on. Yeah, Mundo really does go where he pleases when the entire team is backing him up like they were. But there is first pick coming in here from the side of Natsus.
Interesting. Putting more onto that, only because, again, when you have the flexibility of on-hit versus lethality, which now we see that Minwi is capable of doing, we have that flexibility as a possibility, and it provides so much more as a blind pick than it did previously. And I like it more than the LeBlanc initially. I think R3 is a really good position for the likes of LeBlanc. I think picking it R1 or R2 is really, really confident. And while, the DR Maga, my apologies, was not able to make it work in the previous game, I think with the right matchup, it works a lot better. And the Rise just happened to be a good counter pick in the back pocket for Striking Vipers. So not going to give over the Viego again as well. So already some of the pieces getting stripped away, making sure that Natsus is going to have a chance in this one.
Yeah, but they do give up Aphelios. I'm expecting a Thresh to come in here. Yep, there you go. Aphelios Thresh. It's so good right now. You have to take it when it's up, and Striking Vipers will do just that.
I run the worry that Draxler's got enough in his pool to be able to punish this bot lane. Only because they were able to do it the previous game against the likes of the Lucian. And Lucian is a better early game powerhouse with more mobility than the Aphelios to start with. So if you wanted to run back Karma, you absolutely could at this already to go for it. I think you could go for even more aggression. Instead, he goes for Nautilus, which is the traditional counter matchup to the likes of the Thresh. Again, wanting to play more for lane, maybe anticipating, expecting more resources into that bottom side yet again, trying to get Minmi and Draxler onto a better foot.
And I do like this. The depth charge, you can grab that lantern, but that depth charge is going to follow you all the way back home. I am going to be curious to see where this Viego decides to end up going. In the last game, we did see Striking Vipers last pick this champion. And now we see over on the side of Natsus, see exactly what they may have in stores. This time around, all the solo lanes are kind of up in the air on where they may go.
That we are. We've got kind of what I would expect to be almost certainly like Jungle Viego. I think that's the best position for him when you've got lanes that give you good setup. If we see less setup from the lanes, maybe we'll see him in the other solo lane if they decide for something like that. And into the likes of a Diana, I think you can't really duel as effectively into Viego. Viego's really good into other melee champions to begin the game, or at least it's more difficult for Diana to try to find solo kills because of how well he does inside of that one-on-one in melee range against other champions. So there's that as well. So having that PowerPoint to kind of hang your hat on here, it does make this fourth pick a little bit questionable, because it's like if you give away that you have a jungle, now it's going to one of your solo lanes, you have that flexibility. But if you pick solo lane, you have the ability to plan around those two champions potentially being in the solo lane, and then you have to make sure that the Viego is capable of going into the jungle position.
And interestingly enough, Rise being taken off the table by Striking Vipers nonetheless. Very curious indeed. Syndra picked up by Natsus, and now we're going to see what Striking Vipers are going to pick as their option to opt into the Syndra.
Yeah, DR Maga also plays a lot of Rise. I believe in the previous series that they had played, he had played Rise in at least 2 of those games. So you have to consider that as well. That it was a comfort pick that was taken into this series previously. And so, first off, Striking Viper saying, okay, we're going to take that away from you, show you how to play it, but now not giving that comfort back over as well. Instead, the Syndra comes back as the champion. It's really fit back into the meta. I think this makes the most sense, because now you don't know whether it's going to be jungle, don't know whether it's going to be that. And Syndra's pretty effective as just a blind pick mid laner. Lucian is something that can bully it out of lane, but I feel like this matchup has lost a bit of steam for the Lucian in terms of a pure one-on-one, unless we see a bunch of effort put in from the side of ZMT to really smash this laning phase very heavily to begin with.
Yeah, and Mundo being locked in, so that does tell us that we are going to have a Mundo over inside of the top side of the map. And I'm curious now, what do you decide to do? You want to take the Viego into the Mundo, or do you decide you want to opt into something else? It looks like Aatrox is what's opted into, and it looks like we are going to see that jungle Viego coming into play.
It's interesting because this is another game where the only real dive potential from Striking Vipers is on Diana. I'm anticipating on hit Varus a second time in a row, because now you don't even have to worry about the early game. The early game is absolutely playable against the likes of Aphelios and winnable, even if you're not doing anything crazy. You're going for on hit, and Mundo is going to be in your face most of the time, so you need the on hit damage to work with into that health bar and things. Aatrox is an interesting tool because he's got multiple forms of CC with the Q. Haven't seen it too much recently, especially with everything that had come about. Things in the top lane that have been able to take fights against it. But Mundo feels like something that like it's going to have some control, but Aatrox at bare minimum should have enough wave clear to push in Mundo a good amount of the time if he's not able to take one-on-ones to start the game for some whatever reason that might be. So it feels like Aatrox has a lot more agency to move on the map, which is what I think the side of Not Zeus really wants to do, is to go and fight as often as possible in the early game, try to generate that advantage that they were lacking to start the game off in the previous one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're looking at a lane position, like, yeah, the bot lane got some assistance and was able to get going, but if you're talking about lanes that didn't really have that much pressure thrown their way, I definitely think if you look at Not Zeus, topside was actually pretty impressive, right? Like, the set plays were monumental for their team in being able to mount the comeback that they did have inside of that mid game going into the late game. It does become a question of, is this Aatrox going to be able to have that same ability to position inside these team fights? Are they going to be able to have the same impact? And I mean, you can, but is that going to be the case? I am a little bit curious on how it's going to be because, like you said, I haven't really seen the Aatrox get to have that same pop-off level.
I run the difficulty of, like, Aatrox also doesn't have much that can kill him if Aphelios and Lucian are really, really, really going. Because, like, if you get to 3 items as Aatrox, there's so much sustain that you can have from, like, Gore Drinker, Death Stance, things like that. Steric's Gauge makes you, like, super tanky as well. And it's really easy to just, like, force your way into this team that's got, again, like, Aphelios is going to have a longer range, but everybody else is relatively low range comparison. So Aatrox is just going to control this kind of mid area of the fight that's going to be here from the side of Striking Vipers. And that means, like, if you're playing front to back, that's so much time for Viego and for Varus to really kind of pound into the frontliners, things like Diana when she dives in and then the Mundo. And it takes a ton to work through your front line where it's like Nautilus, but mainly it's going to be Aatrox soaking. And that's a question is, like, if you can drain tank enough to get past what Mundo and Diana have done through your, like, Viego, who's got a bunch of on-hit damage, or percentage health damage, and then Varus with the same, with, like, on-hit percentage health damage if he goes for, like, Kraken Slayer and things. It's a question of who gets through the front line faster. And I think there comes a point where Aatrox has enough damage to put pressure into Aphelios solution where they can't burn through the front line faster. That's why I think the Aatrox pick ends up working really well here, especially with Syndra backing it, because, like, if you're not paying attention, you get Syndra stunned, all of a sudden you're getting, like, CC chained, and you just die on the back line.
I mean, I feel like the Syndra stun is also a big thing because she has the outplay mechanic of hitting the R key, and there are it says a double marksman composition. So yeah, you burn objectives, yeah, you burn towers, yeah, you're able to really put out some good DPS inside of these fights and it's around these objectives. But Syndra's a good champion at being able to shut down a marksman who really isn't going to be building too terribly defensively to be able to try and stuff any of those hard-hitting orbs coming their way.
And it's another challenge now into the middle of this fight, because if you have Diana come in and Syndra's not caught up by a one-shot by if Mundo starts coming in, and you pop ultimate on them with, like, 4 or 5 balls, whatever it might be, as they're laid across the ground. The orbs are set up so that, like, if Aphelios dares to step up, if Lucian dares to step up, they're gonna get E'd, and they're gonna get stunned, and they probably take enough damage to warrant, like, just backing out of a fight. Mm-hmm. But even if they're not, you have those seconds that you bought with the stun and with the extra space bought by Syndra, again, to stall for your front line to be able to, or your back line to work through their front line. There's so much here to play for the front-to-back team fight from the side of Not Zeus. I feel like that's not the strategy you're looking for, even with the Diana, with an Aphelios, with all this initial burst. Unless you're really going in this game, Striking Viper have to get more creative with how they're going to play out a 5-on-5, because if you play pure front to back, I feel like they do not win.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about the laning advantages that we did see, especially inside the mid lane. And we're talking about Syndra scattering the weak. Man, we got to see a solo kill coming out from the Rise in the last time, right? ZMT looking like very powerful as the sequel here. And on Lucian, this is a champion that you are going to be very much so more proactive. You're going to be looking to try and press advantages. And this is something that he picked after seeing the Syndra locked in. So definitely is something that he's opting into, saying, yo, hold on, I got this. So I am very much so looking at a confident ZMT, and I'm being like, yo, if you're going to have somebody be confident inside of a team fight, he's hot right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for ZMT. His laning phase was set up to be like a soft counter to what LeBlanc brought, was able to turn into a lot more, and then they shifted the game playing into him. It's another game exactly like that, where if Lucian starts to really put in the damage against the Syndra, put pressure on, or if any pressure from the rest of the map is able to burn like Syndra's flash, or put enough damage onto Syndra, all of a sudden Lucian runs everything all the time. Even just in an ambient lane, Lucian would be perfectly fine just pushing in the Syndra over and over again, threatening the potential, like, if you use your Ian properly, you just die right then and there as the Syndra, because there's nothing for you to do but trade back damage with your ultimate. So So I think it should be Lucian with quite a bit of priority out of mid lane to work the rest of the map with. This might be the answer to helping out the jungler here, making sure that like you could get your Diana rolling. Because in the previous game, Krakodon had good early impact, but not amazing early impact.
Yeah.
That's something I would like to see them shift in this one. Is if they can get that early advantage, their 5-on-5 looks easier to kind of like participate in if you're playing front to back. And so that's what I want to see them play for a little bit more.
It was getting rolled in the jungle. Let's just go ahead and call it what it was. Wasn't able to get rolling, but definitely was getting rolled. And talking about getting rolled, the bot side is something else that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on, man. If we get to see this Viego get to stop popping off, you know, seeing a more aggressive build, I saw some people on Twitch chat were like, yo, hold on, Mundo is got a weird, funky build going on at the current moment in time. You know, it makes sense. You and me were both like, Divine Sunder, interesting first buy. You know, Divine Sunder a first buy on Viego. Nobody going to question that against this team here.
Not at all. Nobody's going to question it the majority of the time anyway, which is quite nice. I was always a fan of Kraken Slayer when we first saw the pick kind of come out, because it was always entertaining to be like, Q, auto, they're just Kraken Slayer proc, they're dead. Like, there's nothing much for you to do, but yeah.
Pure deletion.
Pure deletion. That's correct, yes. So that's fun. That's always fun to think about. I don't think Mundo is going to do that again this game, because Mundo should be going for full tank, hopefully, to be able to soak quite a bit, especially into Aatrox. Where like if you have the audacity to take Divine Sunder first item into an Aatrox, I'm actually rooting for the Aatrox, and that's a very rare situation where usually I'm not like, well, I hope Aatrox really smashes this laning phase and becomes unkillable and kills everybody with 1 Q across the board. But like, if you're going to do it, like that's fine. Just don't lose, because it's going to get real bad.
Yeah, definitely don't lose. I would advise that for most situations, though. Just don't lose.
I'm cool with losing every once in a while.
But I would definitely say we're definitely going to be looking at a little bit more of a meatball build there for sure. But I'm curious, yet again, on the other side, Viego, if we're going to see that same impact coming out from the jungle matchup, if we're going to see this jungler really focus down the spot side to get this Varus going, and if we're going to see the Varus have the same level of impact. Because like you were talking about, on-hit Varus was the option that they ended up going into. The last time we got to see it, we saw the replay twice on the analyst desk, and we got to see exactly why it is so good when you have somebody who's able to pull it off. But the question is, do they run it back now that they have to go against Aphelios Thresh, which has been a very notable duo inside the bot side?
My answer is yes, and this time I don't want to see full sustain Varus, because like on-hit Varus is full sustain, really good when there's like a bunch of divers on top of you, because you can work your way out. We actually saw that from Minwi, who was able to do that at one point to prevent or at least try to threaten protecting a Baron or whatever it had been. But if you did Kraken Slayer, that's how you get through these beefy frontliners much faster. You're able to do a lot more, and you can still build Bloodthirster. You could still build other items like that to be able to actually get through health bars and like help keep your sustain high. But you don't need to like double, triple, quadruple down on full sustain. Rocking Immortal Shield Bow, Bloodthirster, Wit's End, Guardian Angel makes you like a pseudo-tank marksman, and it does inhibit some of your damage, which is one thing that I will like note. It's just that like that damage is great. It's good damage, it's great damage, whatever you want to say, but it's not top-end damage, and that's what I want to see, is top-end damage when you're playing into a composition that as long as you don't get one-shot by Eda, you're able to fight your way out most of the time.
And that's going to be key, I feel like, as well as we are going to be looking to see what these champions are going to be looking like on the Rift, seeing exactly how they're going to be able to play this one on out. And me personally, I want to see exactly how they are going to be able to perform inside of the matchup, see exactly if they're able to get these things going, especially eyes on the Diana. I yet again, we kind of hyped them up. I don't know if that's qualifies as a cast a curse, but we hyped them up at the very beginning, and didn't get to have a fantastic performance, but made ults when they counted for sure on the champion. But we definitely want to see him control the pace a little bit more in this Diana.
That we do. This is a game where it is better for your team to get early advantage. It's easier for you, hopefully, to try to find a lot more plays across the map and not get bullied out as easily. Things like that to come through. I think Krakodon is set up a lot better in this game to be able to control things. And so hopefully that's converted into more of what we've seen from Striking Vipers in the past, where it is you can attack anywhere on the map. You can generate a bunch of plays elsewhere. You can do a lot more with the Striking Vipers roster as a 5-man unit. So putting together that 5-man unit faster off the back of Krakodon controlling things is much easier for them to actually accomplish. Because in the last game, when you didn't have that pure kind of unadulterated Krakodon controls everything, you saw that they fell apart off the back of one kind of like really rough to kind of navigate like shot call. And were they to be in an advantageous situation, they could have threatened that fight. That fight could have been theirs for the taking. 4,000 gold just happened to not be enough, but there was a possibility in a world where that ends up being the breaking point. The game is over right then and there because they win that fight. They take the dragon. They threaten Soul. They got Baron buff. They got like a 6,000 to 8,000 gold lead. There's no coming back for that almost certainly at that point. So Striking Vipers, if they're able to generate that kind of advantage for themselves with Krackodon this time, things look a lot different.
Yeah, and I feel like if we are able to see those same advantages, be able to come into the front of everything and seeing exactly what they'll be able to grab for themselves, I feel like we get to see a different kind of game. I feel like we get to have a very, very interesting way to see how Striking Vipers are able to come into it. That game right there, though, I got to go ahead and talk about game number 1 yet again. We got to see these two teams going head-to-head against one another and really pulling out all the stops. And honestly, Dean, I am ready to see them go at it again, man. I love this chaos. I love to see it come out. And I really want to see exactly what is in store for us here inside of this game number 2 as we are going through the playoffs, man.
Now we are. We're getting really close to that week to come through. We're on week 5 and we have 6 weeks in the regular season to be able to set up for. And this is still really important for implications. Again, Synthetic Esports still sits there looming against the side of NotZeus potentially being there to try to take that one away from themselves because they could both drop to 2 and 3. And with the right record score, with the right game score, maybe Synthetic can challenge NotZeus. So winning even a game, if not just a whole series here, would lock Zeus and put them in a position where they can actually close things out very cleanly, not have to worry about potentially losing that playoff spot. Otherwise, you're still fighting for your life. You're still on the back foot in that particular regard, especially because I believe NotZeus ends up playing Synthetic Esports in our final week. I want to make sure that that's correct, so I'm going to go check it right now just to make sure I'm not giving you that. That is correct. Yeah, next week, that would be the fight of the life for Synthetic Esports. So if NotZeus wins here and now, they don't have to worry about it. Next week, if they play Synthetic Esports and they lose this series outright, Synthetic has a way back into playoffs. There's a way that Zeus ends up not ending up getting through to playoffs despite being in our second position right now, contesting against our top team immediately.
Which is a crazy world to think about too, man. The race of the playoffs starts right now. There's a lot of teams that are in this point where they're trying to solidify that position. They're trying to make their way in, and this is such an important game for NotZeus to be able to come out on top of. So see if they'll be able to do it. See if they'll be able to bring down the undefeated ways of Striking Vipers, and see what they'll be able to get their hand on. This is going to be an exciting one, and I personally want to see how everything's going to play out because we've talked about it yet again. Striking Vipers has been this team where every single one of their players has been playing together. They are strong together. They have got this very consistent across the board feel going over there. But Zeus is a team that is full of so many surprises as we got to see in game number 1. And when they play to their potential, they look like a team that is very hard to be able to knock down.
You can see the reliance is there from this team to be able to have weapons across the map to work for. I'm happy to see at least a little bit of a different game planning aspect from them as well. NotZeus has to put some of those together to everything to actually come back in this game because that first game was a tough loss to have to take. And so now it's their onus to be able to step back into Striking Vipers and say, we are going to end up taking this one. We are going to be the ones that end up taking this game and the entire series. Their back's up against the wall now, wanting to be put into a rough position. We'll see how they're able to handle that kind of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, we are going into the game here after a little bit of a delay. We are in here, and we are already seeing a stat coming out here from the side of NotZeus Gaming.
Ooh.
They're looking for a catch. They might just find it here from Blossoms. No, a clever ward will spot out the invade.
I've seen that so many times where you've been able to actually, like, both supports rush out as fast as possible to get that ward out. I've actually seen where it's whoever gets there first immediately to try to put that ward down ends up getting a position. Okay, hold on. All right. I'll talk about something in a second. So anyway, the race to that bottom lane brush has been consistent. I've seen players be able to actually operate on that extremely well, where like a flash E from a Leona has won them a kill immediately in the laning phase because they were the first one to put that ward there. And you see the benefit of it. Blossoms was the first one there, able to put that ward down, denies that 5-person invade that could have been the death of him. I would like to note something very quick. I don't know if ZMT messed up his runes, if this is a glitch or something. That is an Airy Lucian in the mid lane.
Oh no. Airy Lucian, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make a brave call. Don't think this was intentional.
Yeah. So If you're running AP Lucian, I don't think this is the right call either. But either way, like the only thing I can think about is like if you're running Aerie Lucian into the mid lane, it's just so that every time you hit something, you're guaranteeing additional damage on top of it. And what's happening in this lane is like ZMT can full engage, but if E is up from like DR Maga, then there's a possibility there's always going to be disengage. So instead of going for more of an all-in strategy where it's like, okay, press the attack, I need to be able to win right here and right now off the back of like whatever engage I'm taking. Instead, it's more of a poking strategy where he's like, I'm going to press an auto attack once in a while. I'm going to press a Q and I'm going to walk away from that situation. Maybe that's what you're going for if you're on the side of ZMT because you already have enough consistent damage to follow through on a fight. Maybe this is more pressure onto ZR Manga or DR Manga, my apologies, in that regard. But that's the only theory crafting I can come up with. Obviously, they didn't call for anything. I don't know if it was a remake intentionally or what had happened, but this is the rune that's been selected. This is what he's going to have to stick with. Hopefully, he can make the best of it.
Yeah, hopefully that will be the case, man, as you don't want to have a vital game like this be decided by something just as simple as that. As you do get to see now, lanes kind of going standard. I do want to point out the fact that we got double combat summoners coming out here in the bot lane here. So got the Exhaust and the Ignite coming through, but here we go. Flash Ignite forward. Blossom taking a large amount of damage, but Perry was not in position just yet, and Nautilus actually ended up going down. Perry will strike back with a vengeance. Going to go ahead and take over Thresh's soul. Is going to be able to hit a play. You can see Last Dance trying to have the moves there, but is not going to be successful at doing just that. So 1 for 1. Down here in the bot side.
Yeah, not going to be able to take that one away. Fortunately, that's like, I don't know exactly what happened because it looked like there was a bit more damage, but Draxler, unfortunately, not going to be able to keep himself up through the Ignite. I will say Blossoms, I think, got a tad bit hypey because once the kill came through, he was like, okay, we can stick around, and then immediately gets brought down by Perry Jungle, which is not good at all. It did force Perry off of a fair amount of farm. You can see he's down at least double the amount what Krakedon has been able to farm thus far, so the kill does do at least to something, getting additional gold onto the likes of the Viego. But it does open up Krakedon's timer to potentially find a play across the map when those backs come out earlier than the likes of Perry Jungle's got a back timer that's going to come through. So first blood traded from Thresh and a gold about traded onto the likes of Viego.
Blossoms is cut out of position. He is completely in the wrong neighborhood at this current moment in time. Here's the teleport is going to come on through. Sense has to cleanse to try and see what he'll be able to work out of this. This is going to be him actually going down. Porsche finds the kill, and Blossom with some very poor pathing there.
Yeah, Blossom, like, he walked through mid, or at least, like, through the jungle right there, then walked right back down river, and got caught out because Draxler was in the river, and they had control of that. Like, there was nothing there to actually cement that. This is a really weird teleport plays to come out. I will say that from the side of Nautilus. They were able to get the kill onto Aatrox, which was nice. This is covering, I think, from DR Maga, where, like, you're able to actually catch the wave that was shoved in from Anime Girl, then Perry's able to catch this wave. The TP was not necessary from Porsche by any standard. No. It was just like them saying, okay, we're going to grab this one and we're going to give it over. And it did cost a fair amount of farm, so I'm not sure how the gold allocation, I think it's roughly even from where it was, maybe a little more experience in the back pocket of the likes of the Mundo, but I think they're going to call TP, they're going to get the kill over, at least they got him that instead of just being wasted altogether.
Yeah, I mean, at least you were able to secure that for yourself, but man, oh man, it was a little bit of a weird move, seeing as the game goes on through. We got Dragon that is up, and we did see that be a hotly contested thing here. Scuttle did just expire down here in the bot side, but you can see this Nautilus is doing his due diligence to make sure that this river stays warded up.
It does. Making sure to keep themselves... Again, it's been a lot more kind of front foot play, and a couple of plays, more resources put into bottom lane from Inui Draxler, because again, they've been to the lower kill participation. You can see that as an attempted identity shift for this team inside of this series, so it's really nice to see them like playing to that kind of icon, and especially with Porsche playing like on the front foot with this Aatrox into the likes of the Mundo, where Mundo's got enough damage to duel, but most of the part, there shouldn't be a ton of kill pressure between the two of those to start off the game. They are really putting a bunch of effort into making sure their bottom side is going to be doing the damage that they need to on this Nautilus and on this Varus to absorb a bunch of resources to potentially be the carries for their team.
And you can see now, right, as we're going into it, just a very, very stable bit. We do get to see Krakedon looking for a possible gank here in the bot lane. Dresser is looking for a head stack flash. This is actually a big trap right into the arms of this Diana. Yes. Dresser is going to find himself going down, and Viego will think twice before entering into the bot lane.
Cool. More members here as well, so you can't play that same kind of game from Perry Jungle, where he hovers around with his E and then is able to catch the Thresh who gets a bit high feet at the last end of the second. But thankfully, that's not going to be the case. And this also opens up bottom river. despite all of the wards that had gone down from the likes of Draxter to protect this bottom side so that they could absorb ganks and they could potentially like absorb pressure from their own team to be able to set things up, doesn't matter because everything ends up collapsing there anyway. Striking Vipers, they opt not to take the Dragon, which is a little shocking in my mind since bot lane was set up for it potentially. Midway was also set up for it because like ZMT's taking a back timer right here. Unless they wanted on the rebound for some reason, I feel like that would have been a very easy timer to snag that objective away.
Man, looks like it, but starting up the Dragon here. Scuttle is going to grant them vision on it, but nobody's in really the spot to be able to punish it. So they're just going to be able to see this Dragon be taken away. But that's going to be knowledge they have. And you can see already the Diana moving into position to capitalize on the other side of the map.
That it is. Over on the other side of the map, there's no Rift Herald yet to respond with. And maybe that's the intention from Striking Vipers, that they knew stepping in like that, now wave priority pulled back in the mid lane, or back into the bot lane, my apologies. And with Anime Girl being around, like pushing this as much as possible, getting that tower plate, they're going to go for Rift Herald that's set up pretty easily. Well, lane swap's going to come through, which you see, like Porsche initiated towards bottom side, Minwi and Draxter were heading into the top lane, so it's going to be even harder to try to find this. So I feel like Striking Vipers, they missed their opportunity on the Dragon, and now it's a really good call from the side of Not Zeus to potentially snag away another objective that should have maybe gone to the side of Striking Vipers in response if it weren't a little bit faster. So I got a call. Really nicely played from Not Zeus, not giving away objectives like that.
Yeah, really smart on their behalf, moving around the map so smooth here. As you can see, Aphelios is just straight up walking into the mid lane at this moment in time. We do have Blossoms over here in the area, and it is looking like it is going to be these 4 members. They were slower on the rotation, but it's going to be able to put some damage down onto this top side. Got a nice wave pushing in here. Could be interesting.
You're seeing what had happened there was like Not Zeus was trying to get ahead of this Rift Herald play by just making sure the top side was going to be pushed. And so Striking Vipers worked their way through River to try to maybe take it when they knew the potential of it being started up was there to catch out somebody. But nobody was there yet. Anime Girl actually popped the ultimate because TC Porsche forced it. So if TC Porsche can replicate this, there's no ultimate. Around the Rift Herald, there's another fight pop now.
Yeah, Blossoms goes down though. Last Dance trying to see what he can do. The Moonlight Vigil comes on out. Is going to be able to find that. It's going to be Minu getting taken out now. Perry is on the retreat path. He's trying to see what he'll be able to do as he is inside the Shroud. It's going to be the Syndra over the wall. Is going to be able to scatter the wheat, lay out a good amount of damage, but is going to be from this point forward. Flash has to be blown to take the blast cone over, and it's going to be Shelly and a kill going over the Striking Vipers.
That it will. A very unfortunate time to take a fight into Aphelios when he's got Battle Rifle set up because he has red-white, and red-white means let's fight. That's what it means for every ADC. If you've got those 2 guns, you can look for them to try to take an engagement because they're insanely good for dueling, forcing down single individual carries at any point in the game. It ends up being the 1-for-1 trade, and the Rift Herald taken off the back of Striking Vipers, who are the ones that, like, they seem to be the ones who kind of had problems trying to set this up, trying to get back into the place. I wanted to give a ton of props over to the side of Not Zeus, but unfortunately, they end up losing that objective, which is it was well played on both sides. ZMT is a very bad play.
Actually used the splash a little bit. That hook was not going to hit, but we've seen those Nautilus hit those, so he is going to find himself punished at the end of that. Beautiful on them, as now we're seeing possibly a little bit of it scrapping. Not going to go for that one there, as Diana did not have the ultimate ability ready to go.
Not at all. We see at least another punishment off the fact that they were trying to look for the Rift Herald play immediately. They did find a good amount of gold because they found an additional plate on top of the 2 that were pushed by Rift Herald, which was quite nice. And I think it's mid tower down to 2 or 1 plate remaining, which is striking place for second Rift Herald to come through. It is a lot of leaning into multiple members being in the same place on the map from the side of Not Zeus to find these advantages, to find the advantageous plays. You saw the teleport earlier. You saw the play in bot lane, which required a 3rd member to come out. You saw right there where multiple members were in the same play. Only when they're grouped are they able to find this. It's seldom off the back of ganks that have come through thus far. There's another situation where Perry Jungle is going to try to link up with Porsche on the tower dive against the Mundo. Kind of precarious in my mind with the ultimate up, but here we go.
Yeah, and TP is going to be coming through from both sides. Anime Girl was not going to be able to sustain enough, and now ZMT is finding themselves against 3. It's going to be Porsche actually going down. He was taking the tower during all of that. So it will be a 1-for-2, but it's going to be over to the top side. A Moonlight Vigil minute goes down yet again, and that's going to be a catch on the opposite side of the map. Trading blow for blow between these two teams.
And you can use 3 people on top side with 2 people that do damage and have a fair amount of attack speed versus a Syndra, and then also you've got the Viego who has plenty of attack damage.
Teleporting.
But it should be top tower. That's even better. I don't think you needed to do this if you're the side of Anime Girl, but it does deny another plate, and this was the whole play, was like their bottom side, they leaned into bringing down the Mundo to deny Mundo, try to set up Aatrox, and also get the tower, but now it's an unresponded tower from the side of Striking Vipers. More plates that are not going to go into the gold, because now Mundo's also set up back up in the bottom lane, and mid tower is still crippled off. This is Striking Vipers are finding their plays across the map. Not Zeus is looking for things, especially trying to get Perry involved inside of this game, but it's not doing enough, at least in my mind right now, to really solidify them as like an even state where this 5-on-5 is going to eventually go in their favor. I also want to note that like Minwi decided on lethality this game instead of going for the on-hit build, and I think that's also a mistake. While yeah, you could put extra damage into ZMT, into the likes of Last Dance, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think I'd rather see somebody that can shred through a Mundo or Diana on the front line than somebody who's going to pressure backline when you've got the Aatrox, you've got the Syndra to do that for you.
I was about to say, man, that's a little bit of my concern. Like, yeah, sure, Perry looking great. 3-0-2 on the Viego. Has these items being built up. Is looking like an absolute unit, but some of the magic is missing inside of the builds, and we'll have to see if it will come back to haunt inside of Not Zeus. As now we are seeing a little bit of a Dragon Tussle. Anime Girl looking to do some zoning of their own here, as Crackodon is going to be able to take this away. That's going to be a TP getting forced around. Porsche is not going to be able to join into the fight very easily, though. Is so far away from the rest of the team off of that, and it's just going to be Striking Vipers getting out for free.
Well, a little more advantage, a little more setup here. Their team is going to be willing to fight once they get into like second item territory because they've got more than enough to work it. And Perry Jungle has been the recipient of a large amount of this like gold to begin with, which is great. They've got a little bit on DR Manga. They've got a little bit on Minwi as well to be able to work their way through. But again, their gold is not, I think, sufficient yet to contest against the front line, especially if Mundo is able to get onto 2 items into that tank territory. When like now you don't have to put that Athana's chains. Wait, what is that? Yeah, he's waiting. He wants revenge from the last game, man. He wants revenge from last game. Oh, okay. He just missed, yeah.
Oh, man. He was setting up. He was powering up for so long, man.
I believed it could come through, but it just did not. What a shame.
Oh, man. But power up not going through nonetheless here. See what we have going on inside the trades is the game currently gold fairly even, right? No huge advantages have been grabbed from either side at the moment. Dragons are even as well, and I feel like this is kind of what we were seeing going into the 15-minute mark in the last game as turret plating has now fallen. Seeing both of these teams being even yet again.
That is. I'm waiting to see, because again, this is 1,000 gold lead from Striking Vipers. I felt like they were going to need more to contest inside of these fights with all the tools that were there, but now that Minwi's on lethality, maybe that changes a little bit. I still feel like Mundo's the one you want to try to put gold on as fast as possible, because frontlining against this team gets easier now that, again, it's only Perry, who's got a bunch of that kind of on-hit, like that percentage health damage to work with. So there's that to consider as well, even though he's the one that's fed, which is concerning at least a little bit for the likes of Anime Girl on the top side here, as that's something to pay attention to. It's just what that itemization is going to look like for Mundo as we get into this one, whether he's able to be a front well into everybody in that situation. I also want to see Aatrox in that regard too, because Porsche is getting to a point where Gore Drinker is done. You're going to have some of the like sustain type items to keep him alive in fights, like that, like the Death Stance, like the Sterix, things like that. They give a bunch of health as well, and it's a question of can actually Last Dance and ZMT work their way through the Aatrox, because that's another concern. Is these two frontliners, these two top laners being that kind of frontline shield for the rest of their team in these team fights.
Man, I also want to see, you know, if Porsche is going to be able to have the same impact that we saw him have on the set. The set was absolutely fantastic in the last game, and not having that, having the pilot the Aatrox this time, I want to see how he pilots around these fights, because it looks like they're going to be looking for skirmishes back and forth between these two champions on the Aatrox and onto the Viego. And talking about skirmishing, we got a skirmish over here into the bot side, as it is going to be a Force Flash coming out, beautifully done by Perry in the bot side, but see what the response is from Striking Vipers.
We will. I'm waiting as well. They've got a lot of topside set up. There's not going to be a Rift Herald here for at least another second or two to come through. Or as Rift Herald was taken by Crackodon, I was curious if they were going to drop it somewhere, but it looks like they're not going to rush down mid tower, which was my expectation since like DR Maga on bottom side was accomplishing a little bit. So Who's to say? I'm curious what he wants to do with that now. Maybe they thought they could rush down mid tower or something. They're gonna go for that eventually. Maybe it's closer to the dragon timer, which is in 1 minute and 30 seconds to try to pull priority. I think that would probably be the best play. And so that's what we're seeing from Krakedon right now, is going for resets into the jungle to throw that Rift Herald down in the mid lane. I would have liked to see it back from the Aphelios immediately, but it seems like maybe Last Dance isn't ready for that. Maybe he has 1 item left, but that timer's got to come through pretty quickly, because ideally you would want to link up that back timer with when you're going to arrive in mid lane with the Rift Herald, so you can shove out that final wave, get it into tower, work your way into river, get that mid tower busted down with Rift Herald at the same time you're arriving into the river.
Now it's kind of coming into a question of where exactly did they decide to get this. I feel like you were talking about maybe Striking Vipers needed a little bit gold earlier, and I kind of want to touch on the fact that one of the things I really like about a double marksman comp is your mid-game spike that you get. The itemization you can get. We got Gale Force on the Lucian, and we've got that Immortal Shield Bow on to the Aphelios. I love seeing AD carries once they get in the mid-game. Their mid-game power spike is so disgusting, man. And if they're able to actually get into it at this point in time, I mean, the Nets team fight could be actually pretty chaotic if they're able to get some success in that. Depth charge coming through. Gonna land the anchor as well. Beautiful to be able to jump onto ZMT. Perry is going to be able to take this vessel as Anime Girl, taking a heaping amount of damage there, is going to be able to sustain up a little bit here, as we do see the rest of the boys are fast tracking their way to the bot lane. Perry Jungle is looking for a possible angle here from the bot side. And is going to be able to find Krakedon, lay out a good amount of damage, forces the Rocket Belt to come out as the Scattered Wheat goes into the mid lane, not connecting onto Blossoms.
Yeah, this is, I think, disastrous across the board from Striking Vipers, as they were looking for a number of situations. You don't drop Rift Herald mid lane, you lose the Moonfall, you lose a member of your team, even though you got health advantage, I think, at that point. They're looking mostly for a fight coming out of the likes of the Aphelios. Wow, a lot of damage on a Draxer.
They laid so much into it, but they're going to turn their attention. Porsche gets caught out. Perry is on the back end. Could possibly look for a flank here. Some Honey Fruit was left up as a tantalizing gift for the side of Striking Vipers. Now it's going to be that beautiful Scattered Wheat to be able to connect onto some major members. Last Dance is going to be able to find that kill for himself. It's going to be Krakedon looking to try and see if he'll be able to jump on the Perry. But you can see him laying out some damage. But this Mundo is just soaking it all up like a sponge. Last Dance is over here onto the side. Not a lot of mana onto the Syndra here as the fight has to back away. There's no mana on this Varus. Not much onto the Syndra itself. Perry Jungle trying to see what he can do. Last Dance laying a huge amount of damage onto the Syndra. The fight is going to be looking to re-engage, and that's going to be a beautiful
what a Moonfall
coming through. They flash on forward,
that's what
and it is just going to be them being routed here as Not Juice Gaming get taken in an extended fight. Force tries to join the fray, but he has to flash away as Krakedon is here to chase him down.
That it is. An extended fight from Striking Vipers, and unfortunately Not-Juice weren't able to capitalize on the fact that there was so much setup needed to be done from Striking Vipers to find that kill. Would have bought them time to potentially take the entirety of that dragon in their favor, but instead they lose a couple of members off the front end of the fight because they just are not prepared, or they're looking for, they're trying to like determine, are we looking for a fight here? Are we looking for dragon? It seems like they were setting up for a fight. Their frontliner got brought down immediately, and from there, like you saw, like Perry tried to flank around the edge. He wasn't able to get anything significant, and even to this moment, Crackdown able to find Draxer. He's going to be down as well.
Oh, this is just the power of Aphelios, man. He's able to lock him down. Even though he got to the wall, it doesn't matter. Crackdown's able to follow him up with ease thanks to that gravity gun coming out from Last Dance. And this is a very scary situation, I feel like. Striking Vipers now have themselves at a just about a 4K lead. But ZMT caught out of position here, is looking to dash around, is going to get stunned up, and he will be taken away.
Fortunately caught out in the side lane as it's 2 members, and they know that because Mundo was backing, they knew that there's not much movement. There's nowhere from the map to attack unless you go to Baron, and they're not expecting a Baron at that point because there's not enough damage, especially since ZMT was the one being brought down. You're able to find him in transition, but still, Striking Vipers have been the ones who have been able to come out of this really advantageous because they get the first dragon advantage, having the 2 versus the 1. You've got yourself a 3,000-4,000 gold lead really kind of culminating here on the side of Striking Vipers, which is helpful. Your Lucian is down quite a bit, but your Aphelios is into the point of the game where, like, when that damage starts to ramp, it's going to be difficult. You saw what he did to poor TC Porsche's health bar in that previous fight. That was what I was concerned about. It was like, okay, can Aatrox drain tank at this point in the game with just the one item completed? The answer's no. Answer's no. Very, very hard. And especially with Krackedon.
Very decisively no.
Very decisively no. No, there's no chance. Thankfully, also, Krackedon is really fed, so not only do you have the ability to put a bunch of damage into frontliners like Aatrox or like Draxler when they jump in, you saw that in the previous fight, but when Krackedon is able to get onto Minwi, Diarmaga, things like that, or people like that in the back line, it's really quick to be able to burst them down with the Moonfall and all of the damage that he's got as well.
Yeah, and I feel like I love the fact that you talk about Krackedon here because we're already seeing the effect. At this point in time, Minwu hadn't died yet. This time around has died 3 different times, and look at this. A hook connecting onto Perry Jungle forces the Flash to come on out. They're laying out so much damage. He's barely able to survive. Will he be able to continue doing so? Porsche able to tank up a little bit of the damage for his team there, but Last Dance is looking like a raid boss.
That it is. Able to find quite a bit. It's really difficult to try to bring down Aphelios, especially with these members who are supporting him all around right now. They're starting the Baron immediately. Think about it, 2 ADCs and the likes, even like the Mundo is really good, but also the Diana on top of it. They've got more than enough damage. I do worry that if there's a fantastic ultimate for Minwi, he just used it and didn't get much.
Beautiful Death Sentence to connect. Blossoms is going to be able to go gold and keep himself alive for a little bit longer. It's dropped down very low. This is going to be the anchor toss to re-engage. That Thresh has been taken out of this fight. Anime Girl looking to run at this Syndra, but so much damage. There's nobody there. The call, whatever it was absolutely wrong. Is now Perry Jungle taking the corpse of Mundo for a joyride as it's not Zeus just pushing the advantage after a scrambled fight.
And you see that Striking Vipers really wanted to lean in and be like, hey, there is a potential that we are going to end up going for this. You see Minwi drop so much health. The potential is there for the Aphelios to actually end up fighting ultimate.
They find him. He's deleted. Diana finds that catch. No exhaust will save you from that amount of damage.
Oh my goodness, to be able to come through like that. Like I said, Striking Vipers clearly wants to fight, and they clearly want to get Aphelios involved inside of these engagements. Right there, you saw the lack. I don't know if what the call was. Like you said, Anime Girl went back in onto Diarmaga. And if you find that play, that's a really good play because the immediate Baron play afterwards, even if you end up trading, is there potentially because of the strength of your Aphelios. But unfortunately, they can't find that. Instead, Anime Girl just goes down. You don't have the ability. Instead, they just get that one trade-off once the tower was overextended from the side of Not Zeus. As, again, Aphelios versus some of this like backline being able to find that. Perry Jungle shreds through the health bar of Anime Girl, even onto completed items. Not on that Mythic yet. We're in rough places right now. Both front lines are feeling the effects of the damage coming through from these carries.
Man, you know, sometimes you hear them talking junk about Senpai, and you gotta put up your dukes, okay, man? You gotta run in there as fast as you possibly can. Unfortunately, wrong decision to come out there, as we do have the Next Dragons coming up in 20 seconds. You already see these teams trying to fast wrap themselves onto this. Depth Charge does connect onto the Diana, but she's so far away thanks to the Thresh here. Corrupted Arrow does connect. Death Sentence as well, but it's just a trade of CC and nothing more, as Lucian is just freely pushing away in the top side.
Absolutely. ZMT putting pressure on the opposite side of the map. They go for something. Now Perry, he's getting run down a little bit by Mundo. That Blast Cone should be able to get him out. They don't want that engagement, so definitely don't take that. As again, if ZMT is just able to freely push on the other side of the map, you're getting quite a bit. It would be nice to be able to contest for this, as Aatrox does have TP, as does ZMT. They can both be here for this fight. Set up there faster, but
Diarmaga out of position, completely caught out. The Moonlight Vigil is all you wrote.
Aatrox is surrounded immediately.
Aatrox joining into the fray, has to immediately flash as he is in a terrible position, looking for possibly more, as Anime Girl is going to be looking to square up, put them dukes up, and look to see if they can square on up. It's going to be the World Ender. That's going to be Pop. Porsche just looking to lay a little bit more damage to just see if he'll be able to find any kills for himself. Getting some excellent CC into the midst of it all. It's going to be a 1-for-1, making it a 2-for-2. As it's just still the fights going on into the backside as the double marksmen come out on top. And Diana cleans up the fight, an ace for Striking Vipers.
You can see that Not Zeus is able to take some of these engagements and make them very close, especially after losing off the back of the front. There's Syndra, who's got a bunch of the range to set up with, but still, Striking Vipers are able to rely on a good amount of their damage. Crackdown has done much better. Last Dance is killing in this game. And now, Third Dragon forces into a bad situation around that next Drake, which is going to be the Soul. And also, this Baron's going to get you even further into this one. This cracks so many outer towers, especially bottom side, where you're going to be setting up anyway. Think about mid inner, bot outer, those are almost certainly gone. Then like bot inner is also potentially on the docket here for a double marksman comp to set up around this next Mountain Soul. That is a terrible place to be from the side of Natsus. I do not know if they have enough in the tank to be able to push past this composition. If Perry isn't able to have some support, get something into the backline to assist, because right there, he almost brings down Last Dance. If Zar or DR Maga was there and was able to find 1E, 1Q onto that during the force of the fight, that might have been different. But these members are getting picked off and making this fight so much harder to play out.
Yeah, it feels like Perry's trying to find the right angle, right? And it just doesn't exist. There's not the tools there. The depth charge was used before the fight even happened. The front line, decimated. The back line, completely gone. Syndra caught out of position to start that away. And at this point in time, not Zeus, you got to think in the comms. Perry's like, guys, listen, I'm Viego. I can pop off. I can make this easy for us. But right now, it's so scary when they just do stuff like this. Yet again, the damage coming through. Syndra barely able to survive there with just a sliver of HP.
Yeah, unfortunately not able to find a way out of this one. They're still sieging up on this mid tower, which is one point you're going to have. Mundo's also still pushing simultaneously on bottom side. It's going to be a rush. I wonder if they can even contest into this tower. I know that they're in rough health bar like standpoints. Viego's trying to come around the back.
They're looking for
Oh, that wall
is recalling here. They do have a TP coming on in. Perry is into the backside, is trying to find a flank, but everybody just turns their attention. They ignore everything else that Not Zeus has in store for them as Anime Girl is leading the way forward for her marksman here, looking to just clutch it up. That's an inhibitor to go down, and Not Zeus just in such a rough spot that only gets more difficult as the game goes on.
And right there, like the setup from the side of Natsus is like, okay, if we were able to flank them with Perry, get onto backline access, maybe things can work. But they aren't able to work off of the front side engage. Because like Draxler hits a good ultimate, can't hit the Q. He got denied by the wall by like fractions of a pixel, I have to assume. It was so close, because if that goes through, immediately in the midst of everything in the fray, there's going to be a bunch of like a kind of cause for concern. There's going to be a bunch of like a kind of scattering to the wind. And maybe that's where your Viego starts to pop off. But there is so little ability to follow up on the initial engagement from Draxler to start things off. Nobody was able to put in damage on the front side, and everybody got to turn as mood as Perry came into backside. He still got some work done, but not anywhere near as much as he should have with like a flank as DPC was able to get. So unfortunately, Striking Vipers find another play into the likes of Natsus. They're able to push on bottom and in mid, get everything mid. Inhibitors now down for just perma shove out of the mid lane. It's going to be impossible to drive this back, and this sets up so heavily for what is going to be the Rift Soul that's come through in just a minute and a half.
And just in a minute and a half, we have Soul coming up. And I'm going to be honest, now this Mundo, we had that question of how is this Mundo going to be able to do? Let me tell you, Anime Girl is feeling just fine right now. We're back in 2007. Inuyasha is playing at like 5 a.m. in the morning. This is prime time for Anime Girl over here on the Mundo. And it really is showing at this current moment in time as they have the prep and they are ready. They got Scuttle. They got everything in their advantage right now when it comes down to this dragon.
That they do. You're seeing like 3-item Aphelios that's come through. 3-item Lucian has finally come through. They're on these really big breakpoints. You even have the 10-stack Magi's for your Diana. And Crocodon, who's turned a complete corner last game, had some rough beginning to the game, got aggressed against a fair amount. But in this one, this has not been the case whatsoever. He's been the one bullying out to start with. This is the Crocodon we were expecting in game number 1. And while it didn't come to fruition, you were able to see why we were so hype on the jungler who stepped in for this team halfway into this split, being able to be that replacement and step in that permanent role for the team now. As we're seeing across the board, they're pushing with this without Baron buff now onto the bottom tower. So it's not like they're going to break anything, but all they have to do is keep this bot wave shoved as far as they can alongside the likes of mid lane, which is shoving in naturally, and they're controlling all of the jungle control, or they're controlling the entire interior of this jungle around this dragon to make sure that they've got all the control around dragon if a fight wants to be had.
Oh, depth charge onto the Lucian, looking for ZMT. Anime Girl
what
getting
a depth
jumped
sentence
very heavily there, but a beautiful depth sentence into the back. Followed up picture perfect going in as Striking Vipers are looking to go ahead and get these kills, but Perry able to find the Lucian. ZMT going a little bit too far forward. Last Dance gets the kill in the backside on the Varus, a double kill. Perry, the only member left standing, looking to see if he can find one more, but he's just going to be another notch for the Aphelios, and that is going to be game going over the Striking Vipers.
Another attempted fight coming out from Natsus. They're not able to get the setup that they want. Again, this time, it's so hard when you're working into blind vision. They almost get something, but a death sentence in the middle puts Blossoms right into the back line to be able to push everybody back into the team. Didn't matter that a flank can come through from Perry Jungle, because they just get to bull rush their way forward as Striking Vipers with Krakodon are able to take a 2-0 and confirm themselves at the top of this group. 100% are going to be your victors out of this division.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, well-deserved as well. Striking Vipers put on a clinic here inside of game number 2. And really, even though, you and me were both like, all right, wait, hold on. There's an Airy Lucian. Hold on. This might be a little sus. Hold up. But it turned into something very fantastic. We got to see the power of Aphelios Thresh and why it's so strong, and getting to see both of across the board, everybody getting to have their moments from Striking Vipers and really getting to perform to their standard, even though Zeus put on a very admirable performance and really contested them. Striking Vipers come out on top.
That they do. Game 1 was very contested. Game 2 was a lot cleaner for Striking Vipers. They were able to work to their early game plan. They were able to do everything they can. And everybody contributed, which was really nice. When you walk into games like this, having carries in pretty much every single role, or people who are capable of putting the game on their back in every single role, gives you so much adaptability with how you can attack the map. And it's nice to see also that their jungler, who had stepped in for them, was able to apply that very heavily in both games, where Krakodon was able to find 2 different sets of games where they had like mid-game in game 1 that really wanted the pressure. You're able to press down on the gas. Bot lane in game number 2, who was able to press down on the gas for. And everybody ends up working together. They're able to have their front to back work effectively, even in some tough spots where it's like, okay, you have some questionable ideas of like how fights are going to end up playing out. They were able to make things work with like the advantages they pulled. I got to appreciate it. Well played from Striking Vipers, who, again, congrats to them taking the Ocean Division.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats, and very much so. Well deserved. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us here on the Caster Desk with a 2-0 coming your way. But we got some more coming up, as we do have our analysts that are going to be able to close out all of the action, be able to tell you every nitty-gritty detail that you could possibly want to see. So, ladies and gentlemen, take it on away, Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Travesty and Rebel Fox. Welcome back to the desk. We have a bit of a change-up here. Not only did we have the 2-0 for Striking Vipers, like I, of course, predicted, as usual, but Destrux, who's this unknown man beside you in the mask?
Yeah, it's no longer Rare Adam. He just decided to, I guess, shapeshift something. Whatever, we replaced him. It's Deos now, and, of course, got to welcome him to the broadcast.
Welcome
Yo, what's
on
poppin',
aboard.
babies?
Yo, how you doing, fam? You looking good as usual. The
Damn,
glasses
look at this
clean.
man, he jacked.
I'm
How
feeling
you
huge.
doing?
Serenok, are you watching? You inspired me. brother.
Yo, respects with your Dale's fam right off the board, bro. Do you not own like a lamp, bro? Like
Yeah, we need
I
to
got a
see
story,
those muscles,
actually.
man. You're blending in with the
So-
background.
So my light broke, right? And then my lamp
Okay.
broke. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna buy some LED lights. And they haven't broken yet. So you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix
You
it.
know what I'm saying? It's
Ah,
that simple.
cool. So your lights broke, your lamp broke, your glasses broke, and your headphones broke. Fam, are you
I
good, bro?
mean-
You doing okay?
Are you here because you
Check
broke?
this out. We're an amateur, you know what I'm saying? But keep it lucky.
Welcome to the club.
Come on, boy. We're glad to have you here, broski. But
Glad to
Eric,
be.
let's talk about that game. Breaking
Yes.
down what we saw here from start to finish, looking at that start.
So for Striking Vipers, I was a little iffy on them in the early game, and a lot of that was because of Blossom. He had a spectacular game number 1. Game number 2, we saw some questionable decision making. He roams out to get a little bit of vision, takes a bad path back, but still goes into the fight with the bottom lane. You have an Aphelios in the early game who doesn't really do that too much damage. Tavares is able to tear him up and get a double kill. We see a little bit of slip up later on around the mid lane when we have ZMT over there. He tries to throw out the lantern to make sure he has an escape path, accidentally breaks it. There was a lot of small mistakes that we really did get out of Blossom when it came to this game. That being said, though, when it came to the mid and later game, man, was he avenged.
Just continue on through, guys, picking that mid and later game, bro. And besides some Mr. should I say cancel hooks, though, Deus, fam, things look clean and crisp.
Oh, Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of things I need to talk about here, fellas. Number
What's up?
one, Crocodon. Where's this guy coming from? Oh my god, is his back hurting with that carry performance? He was pumping bodies left and right. He was walking into the rift. He's like, pop, 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 pop. I don't know if you guys remember that play where they started the Baron. I love it. Striking Vipers and decisiveness. Very decisive team. Really glad to see it, especially at the lower tier of amateur. No offense. I probably shouldn't have said that. My bad. Anyways, after their play was done, finding that opportunity to go on Varus with his proto belt, with that movement speed, it was juicy. That is carry performance. You know what? I don't know the guy at all, but I'm gonna tell you what he was thinking. He was looking at his mouse and keyboard. He was thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we ended this game. Fuck my. I mean, sorry, bad team. I hate my team, right?" And he's like, "You know what? I gotta put it on my hands." And he said, "Watch me get the boys on top of my back right now. I'm going for the kill." I don't think this is this the one? Nah, it's not the one. I don't think this is the one. But it's okay. It was some proper stuff. It was some really proper stuff. Oh my, this is the one. Look at that. That's Killer Instinct, baby. That's the next NA jungle talent. I love it. But really though, if he didn't go for that play, it was looking a bit rough. They had to lead and they kind of threw it. The one thing I do want to talk about actually is around like 5 minutes and just show you where Crocodon, right? Coming through bot lane, both teams knowing that they're going to be at bot lane and just opting into the fight. That's what really turned the game into striking Vipers, you know, into their wheelhouse, making it their cup of wine, whatever that means. I don't know if someone can pull it up. Was that 5 minutes? I'm so sorry.
Or, you know what, we'll try to see if we can.
Can we
If
just
we
have
can
Deus
get
here
that
forever,
for-
Rubbish? Please.
This is not a joke. This is his
I
career
would
on the line.
love. I know, man. I know this is real life. I'm pinching myself just to make sure I'm awake right now, personally. But I think this is it. Isn't that there's this is
No, this is
What do you
8
want, bro?
minutes. I want 5 minutes on the dot.
all right. All right, bro. We're gonna make sure to get you 5 minutes on the dot, bro. But Deus, past all that, like you're talking about, you know how Strikey Viper's decisiveness really does
Yes.
lead them to positive outcomes. This is it. This is 5 minutes on the dot for you, fam.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, let's hope I didn't get the wrong one. Okay, here we go, right? I'm gonna set the scene a little bit.
Said it.
No camps for both jungles, right?
True.
They see
Yeah.
my boy Crocodon in the bot lane, not Zeus over here. They're like, hey, they're here. I need some boys. Okay, so you know Perry's like, oh my god, my bot lane's whining again. I'm on my way, right? So you know he's recalling. He's gonna scoodoodle over there. Both teams know this. I hope that both teams are aware of this, right? My boy, Last Dance, DF, he's telling them, guys, my wave is building out. They're gonna freeze on me. I need help. Crocodon comes over. He's like, buddy, I got you. I'll cover you here. Not Zeus. They're thinking to themselves, okay, guys, if we win this fight, the game is over. And I'm gonna be honest with you, fellas. If they win this bot 3v3, the game is absolutely in their favor. But I don't know. Maybe it's the hubris. Maybe it's the fact that Draxter is so unmanageably sexy in real life that he thinks like he can do whatever he wants on the Rift. But this is not it, man. We gotta be thinking about where the enemy jungle is. And where else can he be? He has no camps. He saw him bot side. You die there, we are not serious. And you know what? This leads into the other play where Striking Vipers gets their Herald. And this is even more important because before that play, Natsus was in an amazing position. They could have let the wave crash if they wanted to, right? And they could have built their wave on their timer for the Herald swap. And that's going to be at around what? Like directly after. It's like, what did I put there? 6:30? Yeah,
I think you put it
6:40?
at around 6:30. Yeah, right around
around
there. Where they would
6:40.
rotate up to the top side. Yeah.
Pull it up. We're about to do a macro lesson today, fellas.
Let's go.
Wow.
I hope everyone is watching. I hope Striking Vipers, you're listening because we could do a bit better here. It's okay. We're not perfect. We're an NA amateur. We're on our way. So, right here, play is done. Right? Awesome. It is the enemy's timer. I hope we're saying that it's the enemy's turn. So right now, Natsus has a couple of options. Right? they can build their wave, play for dragon, right? They can use their timer to clear bot side river control. That is also an angle. Or they could look to, once again, refight on the bot wave that Striking Vipers is going to look to play off of, right? All these amazing options available to them. What they choose is they choose to start dragon. Now, starting dragon isn't inherently wrong, right? As long as they understand what it means for the map. Them showing that they're starting dragon here means that Krakodon and the rest of Striking Vipers understand that after this dragon, it will be their turn on the map. And when I say that it's their turn, it means that they will have first touch on the waves and they will be able to dictate the next 30 seconds or minute of the game, right? So as you play it through, sorry? Yeah. Like, as you play it through, right? Like, Varus is resetting, Nautilus is resetting. Wait, where'd he go? I'm still talking. Hey! Hey!
I've never seen someone bully our producers so hard.
Hey, K-Dad, we're gonna have some problems later on. I'm telling you, buddy. I'm gonna drop my Addy. So here we go. We're playing through, right? Boom. They have their timer, right? But this is not good. Swapping like this is not good. Why is it not good, Deus? Oh my god, why is it not good? It's not good because they're dropping waves for no reason, right? Aatrox manages to catch this wave. This is awesome, but it means that Varus loses his wave. But Varus is losing his wave for what reason? I don't know, guys. I don't know why he's losing his wave. So now they lose top wave for free, and they get free rotation onto this Herald. Now the next question for me towards you guys is, okay, they have first rotation on this Herald. Why is Lucian not top catching this wave, right? Why is jungle and support not in top river, preventing them from getting this wave? Because they have TP advantage. Not Zeus should be terrified topside because they know that it will be 4v5. If Striking Vipers gets this top wave, right, and then gets the bot wave in, they're going to be up 3 waves across the board. That's almost 500 to 750 gold. And then not Zeus would have gotten shit. Nada. They wouldn't have gotten anything. And then even then, at this point, look at my boy Last Dance. He's chilling. He's like, oh, no, this delicioso. Like, he's eating all this creeps like it's popcorn at a movie theater. But other than that, awesome play, right? They managed to get their play here. Last Dance is letting his nuts hang. He's just popping guns, popping mollies, like he's going off. I love it, right? I'm appreciating the fact that Last Dance and Krakodon are letting their nuts hang, and they're saying, guys, I don't care if you're trolling me. I'm going to make shit happen. And they did. They made it happen. And that's what you need to see.
Bless you, Deus. Bless you
Deus,
so much.
I'm gonna. Deus, I feel as though my brain and my heart has grown 3 sizes by hearing that. I hope in my next game I can perform that kind of macro. That's Rooks. You want to say one sentence to close this off?
Striking Viper's good. Yes.
Thank you, that's Rooks. All right, cool. With that being said,
Oh,
thank you for
Krakodon, slide
tonight.
into my DMs. We'll do it together, buddy.
Yeah. We do appreciate our production as always. K-Tan, GG, Scotty, especially K-Tan for jumping in on us for the last minute. You did a fantastic job. Of course, our casters, Travesty and Rebel Fox, for taking us through this entire day. Thank you all for watching. I've been ravishing, the most ravishing man on the internet. Not anymore, bro. That belongs to Deus. So I'll see y'all later.
Long lots. That's the lion's mane, baby.